And I think we are live, and we're here with Jack O'Neill. This is Max with Just Plain Science. Today we are going to be talking about the SpaceX and the UFOs and we're proving the globe one failure at a time is the idea about the whole thing.
Complete and utter buffoonery.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the SpaceX thing because this is kind of like, I guess when the government's just tired of lying or what? They just outsource lying? Is that how it is, do you think?
Yeah, how much of this has been an audible, like you mentioned before? But this is obviously a pre-planned thing. You know, this is something that's been out in the hemisphere, so to speak, for a long time. You know, this is a narrative that has been pushed on and off for quite a while.
The UFOs thing? Have they? Yeah. This is the first time that I've noticed that, before they dismissed the UFO things because it's people catching when there's artifacts in their videos that are supposedly from space and all this. And they're like, oh, it's got to be space aliens. And it's like, no, there's a mouse in the camera, or there's a moth that flew in the scene.
Sure.
There's a bird in the background.
Exactly. Right.
So they're saying, oh, no, it's no big deal. We'll cut the camera. But now they're like, oh, yeah, look at what SpaceX found, a UFO. They're all for it.
Well, sure. Which narrative are they pushing?
I don't know. I mean, it seems to go they're going to aliens now.
Sure. I mean, it's been proposed for a long time, Max, that a lot of people, and I was one of them, and it still could be. I think that whole narrative has kind of jumped the shark, so to speak. But, it goes back to Project Bluebeam. What are they trying to push? Is this something that's going to be like that major theory that went around for a long time as far as the new arrivals being extraterrestrials? Will Satan use that as part of the trickery? I don't know.
Well, that's kind of been done. You think it's going to come back around? I don't know. I always kind of considered it something like the global warming, where it's always kind of there and no one believes it. But they did say like last month, it's like, oh, CIA is releasing all these documents on UFOs, and all the truther community was like, yay, we'll finally get clarity or something. And I never heard anything since then. Apparently, it wasn't very good information.
Not really. Most of it was still redacted. It's the same old song and dance. It's like the dangling carrot in front of you. It's just more misdirection. But the mind behind it, from what I see from research most of my life into this particular field, is that it is misdirection. A lot of people have been bamboozled into belief that we're not alone. So that goes back to what you said before. And a lot of people see it this way. What does that promote? If we're off of them, are we stationary like God says? Are we movable?
Well, they want you to think we're zooming around the galaxy.
Exactly.
But the thing is that there's some truth is that there is extraterrestrials and that we're not alone, but it's a totally different realm, spiritual realm. And
that's it right
all
there.
Of that.
Sure. Because I'll tell you.
Maybe we have explorers from outside, outside our little ring or whatever. Who knows? But
like the Stargate.
Oh, we don't talk about no Stargates. They're gonna get me kicked off of YouTube. They're gonna go. They don't want to know about that secret.
Of course not.
It's interesting. So have you seen any of the SpaceX supposed launches that they do?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I always mean to cover them on this channel, but they're just too hilarious that I can't quit laughing enough to really make commentary. Yeah. Because how do you make commentary on something so absurd, like a water heater taking off and then landing on its thrusters, a couple 100 feet away? It looks completely ridiculous.
Yep.
Or, the thing they parachuted down from space and landed on a moving ship that's going like 15 knots. It's and the car in space, and it's like, guys, come on, you gotta wake up. And I don't know. I don't know, is space just a boomer thing, or do younger people actually believe in it?
It's a good question. I don't know.
Because I mean, like, Gen Xers are so apathetic, they don't care.
Right. I don't know.
I haven't met any young people that really could care less about what's going on in space. Anytime you click on like fan videos and stuff of what SpaceX is doing, it's always an old boomer guy with a NASA hat on. Always.
Yep, I got you.
Unless they're doing something else. Like there are people that are big into like telescopes and stuff like that, and people that are big into things that are kind of related to space that are, younger people, but actually the rockets and stuff? No.
Well, there's always Montgomery, Alabama, and the rocket program. There's still Space Camp.
That still exists? I think I did that back when I was like 12.
There you go.
Amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The imagination, it does wonderful things to the human mind.
I really love this picture. You think that would survive the rigors of space, their little pressure suit? I don't think that they could fly in a high altitude U-2 spy plane and have this thing protect them at all. What's with these boots? Are they going to go fly fishing? Do you think? Think they're going to go fly fishing?
I mean, this is the first time I've seen this.
Well, this is they literally climb into their little SpaceX fake rocket and say that they go to space in is this suit, right?
Wow. That's just pathetic.
This is like the top doesn't appear to be attached to the bottom, and they have fly fishing boots on, so they're going to go in a river somewhere on Mars.
Wow.
And that way they don't get their socks wet.
I mean, what are they trying to be, Starfleet? I mean,
Oh, I knew I saw this exact sort of getup before. So I have a better picture of it here. And they look like little Lego men, right? It'd be like Lego men.
Yeah.
But then back when I was a kid, we had these Japanese cartoons. Here's Voltron that has the same sort of like getup, right?
That's funny.
That's supposed to appeal to the Gen Xers now. And then we've got Robotech, which is my favorite show. See, this guy, I think this guy's name is Bowie. He's wearing the exact same outfit as the SpaceX people, right?
Imitating art.
Look at that. Look at that. It's the same thing.
Sure.
I got another Robotech. It's the same thing. So I guess Elon Musk is a Robotech fan. But anyways, apparently after investing in all that money into Bitcoin, they didn't have anything left for a good-looking spacesuit. So they go to Fleet Farm and they get fly fishing boots and a Nomex jacket coveralls, like they're working in a refinery, right?
Yep.
And I don't know what they pieced that helmet together, but it looks like it's made out of plastic.
Oh, it's terrible,
right?
It wears their palm badges. That's the only thing that's missing.
Right. And it's like, obviously, then, of course, they have to have a full face clear shield because you have to be able to see the actors' faces until you don't want to see their face. And then you make it gold. So then you can have your stuntman in there who actually knows how to work the wire harness and all of that. Yeah, it's total. I can't believe that people think that this is real. I mean, look, this even has like the little loop so you could pull it on for fly fishing. When they're wet and you're trying to get it up over your socks. It's pretty unbelievable. Anyways, so these guys say they saw a UFO in this non-Photoshop picture here. Completely non-Photoshop deal of a space capsule and some other coffee can with things on it. Oh, I lost Jack. We got to add him back. We got to add you back. You must be having some internet deals. So anyways, you're back now. What do you think about their do you think this is a real picture here? They got going right in the middle.
Well, it looks so fake it has to be real, isn't that an actual statement?
That is the motto of SpaceX, I believe.
That's it.
That is their motto. I like how they have to have the little hinge open up the little door there. Oh, look, no stars, Mom. Still. How many years has it been? 70 years or something? 1969. So it's been 50 years and we still can't show stars.
And that's not scientifically possible in itself.
And amazing that we can't do that.
You just have to laugh at it all. You really do,
Yeah, and they're all sitting in here and they're controlling the spaceship with an iPad. Is how it all goes.
Nice HUD though. I'll give them credit. Nice display.
Yeah, and they don't look at all like they're harnessed up. They're rigged up. They got lots of the hairspray in the hair.
You got it.
That's hilarious, and they don't even hide that. There's clips of that stuff all over of the women that put hair. Now let's consider for a second if you're really going to go on a space exploration, and you're going to decide for whatever reason you're going to have women up there, whatever reason. It's not that you have to be politically inclusive and have one of every color of the rainbow up there, and male and female, and gender non-specific people or whatever they call themselves. It's not because you need to have all of that up there. It's because this woman is the very best rocket person that we have, would you not require them to just simply shave their head?
Sure. Or at least a bonnet.
Or yes, have like a sock over your head.
Sure.
I mean, it just makes sense. But
And
no,
look,
they go up there in SpaceX with 150 cans of hairspray to make sure
it's aqua
that their hair doesn't get into anything, and they can spray it up to make them look like they're weightless.
Here's another observation that I come across a long time ago with all this fakery. And similar to you on your background, if somebody's going to design a capsule or a ship like that, you're not going to have wires exposed to like a spaghetti.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
Period. That's a safety issue first and foremost. It doesn't work like that.
Well, right. Especially when you think about it, it's like, okay, you're saving weight and these people know what this stuff does. But at the other token, if everything is weightless and moving around, you can easily get your foot caught or anything else caught in it and actually hurt them. So there would at least be panels covering the wires.
Thank you. Exactly.
But this is SpaceX. Maybe they don't have exposed wires here. That was the old technology, right? We figured out how to tuck wires in. It's 2020.
It's not lithium crystals now. Right?
So anyways, in this whole big article, though, they don't actually have the picture of the supposed UFO. I wonder if I can find that.
Yeah. Where did I see that at? Hold on one second. Go ahead, Max. See if I can find it.
Oh, I can pull it up here. Okay. SpaceX UFO.
And it looked like a small rock or debris, maybe, that just floated by.
Is this the picture?
That's it. That's a good still shot. Good digital still shot, anyway.
Why is it so grainy? Don't they have like the best cameras that money can buy up there?
Well, it's the sunlight, it's getting in the way of the view.
So. Does that sun look like it's millions of miles away? I don't know. It doesn't look like it to me. But
and does that look like low Earth orbit to you?
It kind of looks like very low Earth orbit, like a balloon.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's the only way that they have the sun in there, because otherwise, when they're in space, supposedly doing their little catwalk, you never see the sun because they could never, ever, ever make that look right.
Oh man, it's hilarious. How many millions of dollars a day from the taxpayers?
Well, it's $51 million that goes to NASA. I don't know what SpaceX gets.
I gotcha.
I guess because they're an independent black budget contractor, they can pay them whatever. But I don't think, from what I see by the quality of work that they're doing, I think that they don't want to spend $51 million a day to fake it anymore. I think they want to spend as little as possible.
That's
and that's why you end up with little Lego Man flight suits. I mean, you wouldn't even go up in a high altitude jet wearing that.
No,
in the military.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I mean, we can see what that is. I mean,
look, you can go back as far as the 60s and 70s for jet pilots. Because when I went through my training, same thing. Look at those suits. There you go. Yeah, they wouldn't hold up. They're not designed for that. It looks like it's just, somebody threw it together as a costume party, and there you go.
I suppose all of the inner workings that are like liquid heating and cooling and all of that, and the pressurization of it is all on the inside underneath their little whatever they call it, right? I'm guessing that's what they say.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like filled with individual pockets and lined with heating and cooling and everything. And I suppose that they're just going to say that they're wearing that underneath that. This is just their news stuff, but it still doesn't explain galoshes. Why are astronauts wearing galoshes?
Well, they are trying to get to water, right? If they're
just going to be ready for any eventuality, like they got their bug out bag up there. Well, in case we encounter water, I've got my galoshes.
Or the boat.
I don't understand it. Oh, it looks like we got Frank here.
King's Tables in the house.
The latest UFO sighting, Frank. I think we're talking about it. We're talking about the SpaceX one, unless you got one different.
He's probably talking about the ones with the pyramids in the past week or so. Is that it, Frank?
I don't know. Do you have that one?
Yeah, I've got it on my channel. I've got 2 or 3 videos of it.
William Scales has joined us.
What's up, William?
He's coming here from London. Fantastic place. I hear the Earth's flat over there too.
A Londoner. Nice.
How come you guys aren't launching rockets from London? That's what I want to know. It's always just the United States, and apparently China's pretending to do stuff, but I guess we have the best what do you call it? CGI.
Okay. Yep. That's debatable too, right?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen much from these other countries, but the guys who do the Robotech,
Yeah.
the guys who do the Robotech, and they do it in like video game CGI type polygon type stuff, they do a really good job.
Yeah.
Those guys are from Japan, and I'm sure China and those countries, and yeah,
Top notch.
some of the stuff, the real artists that do it, it's indistinguishable from an actual photograph. Like there's people who do auto art that looks basically indistinguishable. Which leads me to wonder, they must not want to spend $51 million a day to get the stuff that they have here like that. That looks silly. And this, I mean, it's a valiant attempt. It's a valiant attempt.
Yeah, I'll give them that.
But it just looks wrong. You know, it just doesn't look right.
Yeah, there's no texture.
And then, the of course, the excuse for that is going to be, well, you don't know what things look like in space, right? That's the excuse. And it's like you see enough of these, and it's like, no, they're all fake. And
right.
Do you have that? Do you have that one? Do you know how to share stuff on your thing? Make sure you don't have any incriminating evidence if you share something.
I have no idea. It's all I can do to speak on this thing.
Well, I'll do it then. What's the thing you got to look for? I actually want to go to Bing, of all places. We'll use the Microsoft thing because it. So it's UFO UFO and pyramids.
Yes, pyramid structure, UFOs. Hey Max, real quick, when I press this share button, what kind of options will it give me?
Which screen you want to do?
Hold on, I'm looking for it. I think I've already lost it. It's about the pyramids. You go ahead and do that, and I'll try to find something.
So, pyramids on another pyramid-shaped UFO, or?
Yes, within the last week. I think it was the U.S. Navy.
One day ago, Fox 11.
There you go.
Is that it?
Yeah, they've been covering it roughly for about a week. I think there were 3 of those spotted at one time.
Miami, Florida. Oh, this is 2019. That can't be it. UFO pyramid. That? What? No.
No, that's similar, but there are 3 of them. Okay, in the green, right in there where your mouse is, right below it.
This
right
one?
There, I think so. That's basically what I saw.
Did the Navy film triangular-shaped UFOs? We'll go to this one. The Ufo Chronicles. This is from April 14th.
Okay, I gotcha.
Well, that's interesting. There's no question you got weird crap in the sky.
Stargate.
Oh, we can't mention the Stargate or we're going to get cut.
Is that right?
Something like that.
Okay. Gotcha.
Frank says that's the one. Hey, Frank, if you have anything to weigh in, I'll send you a link to this if you want to join us on here.
Yeah, come on.
Otherwise,
you cantankerous Canuck. Come on, man. Oh, Max, real quick.
Yeah.
As far as my camera, how do I get that to work?
I have no idea, man.
Okay.
I mean, if when you go into it, it asks you. It says, "Oh, he's disconnected now." Well, if you're listening to me as I sit here alone, there you are. Okay, so
Well, that doesn't
so
work.
as you connect, it should say start cam if it's available, right? And then it should just work.
It said it would not connect to this computer. I'd have to reset or reboot. I don't understand.
You're using a laptop with a camera in it, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, it's probably whatever your browser you're using to go to StreamYard.
Okay.
Maybe try a different browser because it should just see your camera if it's part of your computer. There isn't any trickery involved in that, you know?
Okay. I got you.
That's all I know. I mean, I get my stuff set up and then I don't touch it, and then I forget all about how I did it.
I got you.
So what do you think triangle things in the sky could be? You think they're testing out some stuff, or?
That's a possibility. Or is it demonic activity?
That are triangles? I mean, could be.
Sure, why not? Why not? If they can multi-shift in shape on the fly and control, I don't know. I don't know. I've witnessed a lot of that stuff in my research through the years. So how much, again, it goes back to what's physical and what's supernatural. Is it a combination? I don't know. I don't know how much of that actually transpired from Operation Paperclip.
And then the other question is, the people who aren't spiritually discerned would even see the stuff because they're not even connected in at all.
It's a good point. I don't know, Max. I really don't. I really don't. I don't know if that's Area 51 and their shenanigans. Or
I've been out to Area 51. They ain't got nothing going on there.
That we know. I mean, maybe not. Maybe it's just.
Oh, look, this is how you make a triangle in the sky. Turn on night vision and do that.
Well, that's easily detectable. I mean, movement.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw a good video. I'd have to find that link. For some reason, I can't find it right now.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right.
Probably already taken it down. You know how it is.
So, you know what I did last night, right? We got a full moon thing going.
Sure.
I did one experiment that I had done before, like a year or two ago, but now I actually have the tool. And the reason that I actually purchased the tool in the first place and forgot all about that's why I bought it.
Yeah.
So we had a full moon out there, and I got my little laser heat gun. All right.
Temperature.
And the whole thing with the
shadow.
If you're in the moonlight, it's going to be 5 degrees cooler than it is if you're in the shadow of shadows. Right. And the moon I think it's if the moon hasn't hit it. And I've done this before, but I just didn't have anything that's like an instant feedback thing.
Okay.
And so I could just click the button and shoot the lawn, and I can shoot the bricks, and I can shoot all this stuff around. And without question, beyond shadow of a doubt, it was 44 degrees on the ground any place that the moon did not hit, and it was 39 degrees where the moonlight had hit or was hitting.
Interesting. And I've seen several of those experiments from individuals online as well.
Well,
but once you do them yourself, it's verification. I haven't done that, but that's interesting.
Well, I try all those things. I mean, that's the great about the flat stuff is you can actually test it. Now, as opposed to whether or not gravity exists, oh no, you need to test it with a planet or something the size of the planet in order to make it work right. And it's like, it sounds like you're blowing smoke up my ass. That's what it sounds like. Oh no, gravity only works when you got something the size of the Earth, and it's like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Physics doesn't work that way.
That's right.
you can do a small scale thing. And you should have all your predictable outcomes and all of that stuff. And it just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's okay, Frank. Take care of your business, man. If you're with a family, I totally understand.
They had the other day they did a modern day debate where they had a few different people. Flatter-Day Saint is on there, who really cracks me up because he kind of comes off like kind of a hillbilly or kind of a hick or kind of somebody who wouldn't know too much, but he completely beats down anybody who debates him. And of course, all the people who believe in the globe theory, they all say how dumb he is and all this and all that.
Sure.
But he brings up all these awesome little points and completely smacks down the people that are against him. And then I'm kind of playing around in the chat a bit at the same time.
Yeah.
The Flatter-Day Saint guy didn't bring it up, but brought up something close to it. Anyways, he was talking about, bendy water and how gravity can mysteriously hold trillions of gallons of water and bend it around a ball. But you can still have butterflies and all these things that a helium balloon and all these things that just whatever. They don't. Gravity doesn't care.
Right.
And it's you got to take it right back to the source, though, and go, okay, you're talking about bendy water and wrapping your bendy water around a ball.
Yeah. Do you?
Then when you put it in a glass, though, it's flat, and when you put it in a lake, it's flat. But then when you get up to the scale of an Earth, then it's bendy water in a ball. But then you got to take into account, okay, well, all those clouds above your head are water, just like what's in the oceans. So how is gravity not affecting the trillions of gallons of water that's in those clouds that are floating around? And how are they up there like that? Huh? Gravity is quite selective, isn't it?
Yes. Because
I mentioned that stuff to the people that I was chatting with, and like I was having a one-on-one more or less with one person where we're like going right back and forth to each other. And as soon as I said that and showed what an idiot the guy is, I had like 10 people that wanted to initiate a conversation about, but what about this? But what about that? But what about that? And it's like, oh, as soon as you get them, everybody screams bloody murder and makes like a little diversion.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got it.
Absolutely.
Or misdirection. That's right. That's exactly right.
And it's like I can explain how they're up there through static electricity and things and through pressure is the reason that the water falls. But, how are you going to get gravity doing that stuff? Gravity works in reverse for the clouds? I don't know. Right. How are the clouds up there?
It's going to hold down a 300,000 ton skyscraper, but it's not going to crush me and you?
Right.
Okay. Sure.
I just don't understand. We're just not smart enough. Is how it goes.
I'm from Alabama. What do I know?
There we go. Hey, Nick's here.
What's up, Nick?
We're talking SpaceX, Nick. We're talking SpaceX. We want to know what you think about the galoshes that they have to wear when they go up in SpaceX. I don't know. If you have an excuse or a reason why they would need galoshes in space, you be sure to let us know because we're completely befuddled by that one.
That's hilarious, man. It really is. It's just at this point they might as well be wearing Star Trek uniforms.
Well, yeah. I mean, this is what this is, right?
Exactly. Sure.
This came out before Star Trek, the what, Next Generation?
Yeah.
This came out before that, and this is basically the same thing.
Yeah, because that's what Robotech's early 80s.
Yeah, I think 81, 82.
Okay, there you go. Good anime, by the way. Good show.
Yeah, that's a great show.
No doubt.
Other things we have going on, we have our pink supermoon. What do you know about? Do you know anything about supermoons or anything?
I mean, just what I've been taught. I don't know. Researching a lot of this, it's given me another, again, a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
About lensing effect or so-called precession.
Well, they say that supermoons, they're like the moon appears 5% bigger.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, because it's closer. I mean, like,
yeah.
And they even say like, oh yes, the Earth the moon in its orbit comes like such, however many thousand miles closer, and that's what gives it an appearance. And it's like, or it just gets a little bit closer.
You got it, Max.
Anyways, then we got a blood moon next month. And they call it a flower moon, but that's going to be apparently a blood moon. So we're all got to get ready to get raptured for these. What I wonder about is why this is even a news story. Like, when is there? This was on Drudge Report, which used to be kind of a big deal.
Oh yeah.
And why is a pink moon a big deal on Drudge Report if it's just something that happens? It's like every single calendar month they have a different name for the moon. Based on what you're supposed to be doing in the season. This one happens to be a pink moon. Why is this a news story? It's only happened every single year since the existence of the calendar. So I don't know. We got some astrological UFO news going on with we're gonna find aliens on the pink moon or
how's that has found Earth, man.
That could be. I don't know. It just was very weird that they're talking about moons again. And we got UFOs and moons in the news and SpaceX and all this stuff.
Interesting.
I wonder if Elon's going to definitively prove that the Earth is a globe, or he's got enough money to do that. He could make up something better than guys in galoshes.
You would think, being a shield for the government. I mean, come on. They do.
I don't know how much of a shill he is. I think he kind of cues people in. With that whole remark about, it's real because the CGI would be better.
Yeah, it's right there.
It was a remark that I think was like, "Hey guys, this is total
wink,
BS."
wink. Yeah.
Yes.
Could be.
He's saying that it's CGI.
Right. I caught that as well. So I don't know. I don't know. You know,
I don't know, man.
insider to propagate certain perspectives, maybe, or maybe like you're saying, you know, could be.
Well, do you think it's possible? I mean, obviously they're all in the elite club, but do you think that there's some elitists out there that are kind of on the better side of things, or what?
What, the white hat theory?
Do you think that there's some out there that actually have
Sure.
morals?
Yeah, there has to be.
I
I've
have
seen
never-
too much of that. There just has to be, man.
I've never heard of anything about Elon Musk getting in trouble on Epstein Island or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Not so far, anyway, right?
Well, right, but everybody else you have.
Sure. I don't know. It makes you wonder. You know, what does God allow? You know, I mean,
Well, whatever people volunteer for.
Well,
I
sure.
look at it like this. I think that those guys are doing their job, right?
Sure.
That's what I kind of think. Because all the people doing their little evil stuff is like they're doing their job. And one thing that I do dislike, I was listening to that JD Farag guy. And he did his little prophecy update, sort of whatever he does, where he's talking about vaccinations and all this other stuff. And I know we were talking about whether this thing was going to be the actual shot itself was the mark of the beast or anything. And he's like, unequivocally, it is not. And unequivocally, right, if you take it, you cannot lose your salvation.
That's right.
So that's where he was at. But he was also talking about how he went through a whole bunch of, woe is me bad news, and then goes, but here's the good news, that it's all part of God's plan. And all of this stuff is happening because God chose you to be doing what you're doing. And it's all part of God's plan. And it's like, yeah, that's great. And it is all part of God's plan. But when you say it like that, you make people sit on their hands like, well, I'll just wait here for God to do everything because it's part of his plan. And it's like, no. You're supposed to be doing stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean by
it's
that.
all part of God's plan.
Sure.
Right?
Hey, I had that mindset for years. It's like, okay, just give up,
Right.
It's like the old story about that cult or a particular church that just sold everything. I think that's actually touched upon in scripture too. And it's like, what are you waiting on, man? Well, I'm done. I quit my job, sold everything. I'm just going to get me a lounge chair and kick back. The Lord will be here any second.
Right.
So why bother, Yeah, I've been down that road too, to a point. And it's like, no, man, get busy. It's about his word, helping people, whatever he draws you to do for him. So I get it, man. I get it, I mean, it's all a facade. Again, it goes back to Wizard of Oz. I mean, it's just all smoke and mirrors. I don't trust the system, period. I don't believe in none of this crap. So it's like, whatever.
Well, my favorite is like when people go, well, yeah, that's fake, but this other stuff is real. It's well, why would it be?
Exactly.
And here's why I was talking about Elon Musk maybe being, somewhat clever or giving people hints because, at the end of the day, I think that they do have to tell people what's sort of going on.
They do.
And that's how you get out of the karma thing a little bit. And I think Elon's doing a little more than that because in his launches, Nick brought up the rat in space. I don't know if you can see it in this one, but what's supposed to be like a live booster thing where they're launching up the Starlink satellites and all this stuff. In this photo over here, you can see a rat literally climbing around next to this. Yes.
Oh my
and it's
God.
Like, there is no, here's the thing is that it's not like they're doing this live when they're showing this. They have to green screen all of this. They have to make the effects go on, but they put a mouse on there to climb around just to say, hey, this is fake, guys. That's fake.
It. That's what I was going to get at. How much of that is on purpose? It has to be.
It has to be on.
There is controlled, right.
There is no way. And there's been like frogs on stuff, and like Mars.
Never heard of this. Never seen it. Never heard of this aspect to it. That's interesting.
It has to. That's why I'm saying, Elon may be not such a bad guy. But
point.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's on YouTube too. It's like everywhere. They don't hide it, and nobody hides the stuff. And they're like, people still believe in it though.
Sure.
Like I said, making a water heater take off and land. I mean, what?
Yeah, I know. Drink your Kool-Aid, people. Down to. You're not going to question or look into anything. It's because everything is normal in this world. They have your best interest at heart. There's nothing to question. Just stay dumb, bury your head in the sand and go about your day. Not me. Yes, Nick, LOL. And yes, it does sound very Calvinistic, no doubt. No doubt. I don't know, Max. That's a very good point about Elon. It really is because I've been on the fence too. You know, it's like, is this who is he? You know, you look into him and it's like entrepreneur, genius. Yeah, I can see it. That's interesting. But look who backs him. He's putting out the nods. He's putting out the winks. A lot of people don't do that or misdirection. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is fascinating, though. It's a good point. Very good point.
They're supposedly landing on a. Yeah, where's the sun? There's never any sun there. There's never any sun. You don't think it'd be brighter than that up there?
Yeah, exactly.
Without an atmosphere protecting you?
Right, right. In the cold vastness of space. But the whole SpaceX thing, the technology, the rockets, it doesn't add up, man.
Well, not when they're landing. I don't even want to get into it.
I mean, the precision, the symmetry.
It's just not.
No.
It's just not.
It just looks fake. No, it's not. It's just not, man.
I mean, you can, it actually, I'm sure it's physically possible to make something go up in the air and land like that, but they're pretending that they send these out to space and that's how they come back from space. And it's like, oh, I guess if you tell a big enough lie long enough and people will believe it, I guess is how that rolls. So you are a recent convert to the whole flat deal.
Yeah, somewhat. Like I said before, I've been on the fence, kind of knowing, for quite a while, to be honest with you, but just didn't really want to accept it. As crazy as that sounds.
And it was the clouds behind the moon?
That did it.
Yeah.
Already knew, but that was just the icing on the cake. I did a double take and I really looked at it and I was like, okay. Oh, man. Why not?
Yeah.
Very free. Like you say, at that point, what do you have to lose?
Well, my thing is like, I mean, I maybe I'm spoiled, right? Because I'm in the land of 10,000 lakes. But
must be nice.
Surely I can't be the only person who lives next to a lake that's like, a few miles across, right? Anybody can go to a lake. And if the lake is like 3, 4, 5 miles across, if you can see the water go up to the shore on the other side, it means that the earth is flat. Okay.
Got it.
Because it should be going around a curve from your perspective because
Right.
You're too low to the ground. That's just how it is.
Mockery. That's it, Nick.
And apparently people just don't get that.
Well, I mean, the science is there as far as true science, right? If you're going to go by certain aspects of what the scientific method tells us in these books.
Nobody uses that. We use, what do you call it? Quantum physics.
Well, there you go. String theory and the rest of the buffoonery.
Yeah, Stargate. We use Stargate.
Well, that's a real thing, man. Be careful.
Yeah, well, we can't talk about that, but that's really what they do.
Cheyenne Mountains watching.
I don't know if you've seen, I think I did the first stream that I did, I think was on this.
Yes.
You did get that? Did you download that?
Yep.
This was Dave Weiss's deal. We'll always throw Dave Weiss's name out there at DITRH, I think is his channel. Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, whatever the acronym is.
That's it.
And yeah, really knows his stuff. Put together a pamphlet, and I'm sure you can find that just Google searching it. But pretty much, there's going to be some places in here where you just won't be able to whatever you poo on the flat idea.
Yeah.
There's going to be some things in here that's going to take you some time to try and wrap your brain around how it could possibly be a globe. Especially when you look at like travel patterns and how jets work and all that stuff. And if the Earth was a globe, there's no way that jet traffic would go where it's going. And you know, like this one right here. These are the flight paths on a globe Earth where you're going way up out of your way.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And these flights are major flights that happen every single day,
That's
where it's like
exactly right.
we're gonna go more than twice as far to go from Australia all the way up through America to go to South America. And that's the flight that routes they take. But then if you go on a flat Earth, it's a straight line, as the crow flies, as they say.
That's
So,
it.
to say like, oh well, that's to pick up people and all this stuff that they say, and it's like, really, day after day after day after day,
No, all that
and then
extra expenditure in fuel alone,
and then
airtime.
you get into the idea of like when they have emergency landings on these things, they land in all sorts of crazy locations, right?
Okay.
Any sort of like Hawaii to anywhere, and you have an emergency, it's like the places you would expect them to go or make absolutely no sense. On the flight stuff, how do you like our how these are all of the pictures of Earth that we've ever had ever with
Well, it
all the
has to
space
be
travel?
digitally rendered, right? That's what the guy from NASA said.
Yeah, it has to be photoshopped.
Sure. That makes
Well,
perfect.
they didn't have Photoshop in 1975.
Hmm.
What was going on there? Artist painting?
Yep.
Because it has to be.
You got it.
He
That's
wasn't
right.
lying. He wasn't lying.
No. Back to what you said earlier.
So you've run anything have you tested anything for yourself? Like any little test, or other than, of course, you saw the clouds going behind the moon. I mean, most people aren't going to notice that. When I look up on a cloudy day, I notice that the moon seems to almost separate the clouds. It
Yeah.
shines so much through them. I haven't seen the moon behind them, but again, I wasn't really looking for that. But where you're at, you don't have lakes in Alabama, right? You just got a couple of
Oh
rivers.
yeah. Yeah. We've
You
got a.
do?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been years since I've been there.
Well, there you go. I mean, I can't throw a stone without hitting a lake where I'm at. So I
I heard
don't,
that.
yeah.
Nice. That's nice, man. Look, for me, I just rely on my senses. The study outside of that, that's enough proof for me. But as far as doing the physical test itself, I've seen enough of it. I don't
Yeah.
have to go out there and do it.
So you've never had a glass of water before.
I just drink coffee and tea.
There you go. See, the coffee bends around the cup, but the water is flat, right?
Cut and paste clouds. Yeah, that's it, Nick. Oh, real quick, my sister Nick brought up something about a week or so ago to me, and I've never considered this. She said, well, basically in the comment section, we were talking, and she said, I've never could figure out why, from her perspective of where she lives being upside down from us, right?
Yeah.
Once you're on that plane, at what point do you flip?
Right.
And another light bulb went off. I was like, wait a minute.
Right. Exactly.
I said, that's interesting. Never thought of that one.
Right.
No,
You're going from the northern hemisphere to the southern hemisphere. You'd be standing on your head by the time you get down there or whatever.
Insanity, but I thought that was brilliant. Just that little tidbit, something real simple is enough to make people, what?
And it's the same thing on a boat or anything else.
That's it. That's it.
When people say that, oh, you're going to fall off the globe, you go too far, or fall off the flat earth if you go too far, it's like, yeah, you're making fun of yourself. Because, yeah. So you don't fall off, you go upside down. That's what you do.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And then when you're talking to like a Christian, it's like, so then where's hell? You know what I mean? Like, what do you got left? Where's heaven?
Well, I mean, hey, is that
Heaven and hell become relative at that point, right?
okay? Okay. Is it extra dimensional? You know what I'm saying? Is it in the physical realm that we're at right now? Hence the hollow earth, supposedly? No, I don't see it that way. I see it as being a literal thing, yes, but is it inside our space time? No. I see it as something totally different than that you can't actually go to. You can't physically reach as you're alive in the physical. There's no way.
I heard some guys built a tower one time. They almost made it.
Yeah, how'd that work out? But I think it was more or less the intent behind that action, right? It's not that they could ever reach heaven or let alone the firmament, more than likely, before they'd all die. But who knows, But it was the point of it, What are you guys doing? Oh, we're just building a tower. We're trying to reach you, God. No, no, it's stupid. go about your lives, multiply, spread out.
Oh, here's your picture.
Yeah. And that's something. Look at, I mean, just
And we're all just going to float
infrastructure.
around in there, and there's never going to be any problems. And
That's no.
there hasn't been any accidents at all ever in the entire history of NASA. Once they're in space, and nothing ever goes wrong.
As long as you have duct tape, you're good. But I mean, my God, the possibility of, the major disaster from one wire, from a control or a HUD or whatever, oxygen supply, they're screwed.
And this idea that once they're in space orbiting Earth, that they'll never need to be tied down to anything, or, they're just always, we're here now. We're going to be totally fine, just as though we're on Earth. Right. And it's like, couldn't just about anything rip through that ship at any time?
Anything. That's right.
And they believe in gravity too. So couldn't you have some weird gravity effect or some kind of radiation or some kind of something?
Maybe.
But nope, they're up there in their khakis, right? They're up there in their khakis and their galoshes having a good old time.
You got to be comfortable, Hey.
In their mess of wires that they got going.
In their harnesses.
Well, they got a video game remote control. That's nice.
That's funny. Nick, that's funny. I will actually be looking down. LOL. More actors than it. Yep, you got it. Electronics, all good with water. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. They don't have any problems with that. I mean, and like, can you imagine that ISS has supposedly been up there like 20 years or something? And it's like, how do you clean stuff up there? Right? You got 20 years of human filth going on up there.
That's actually a very excellent point. That's another point I've never actually considered. But again,
no one ever could
stop to think, right?
No one ever considers the water either. It's like, did I really have to do a video on that to point out to people that it's completely ridiculous that they supposedly have water up there? Because you calculate just by using the Wikipedia numbers, which should be about as completely flubbed as you can possibly get. It's like, okay, they needed to bring up like 18,000 pounds of water every time that they go every 6 months. And the ship can't carry that much, just water alone. So, you fill it up full of water and maybe a little room left over for hairspray. And then, you set it up there and there you go. You guys are good for another month. And they say they recycle this, that, and the other thing. And it turns out that they're way short. And recycling doesn't get you like brand new water. You're always kind of losing stuff. And the whole thing is ridiculous. It looks like we lost Jack again.
Yeah.
There you go. You're back.
Dope. Hey, everybody.
I don't know if that's me or you or what, but
it's my internet.
That's all good. I mean, you're not cutting out or anything. So
okay, cool. I've got to get a new modem. We've got to upgrade it, man. It's kind of behind the dinosaur a little bit.
Did you imagine, like, I think it's
basement.
I think it's been about 20 years that thing's been up, maybe even longer than that. And did you imagine like not cleaning your house for 20 years?
I haven't cleaned mine in 15, so yes, I can imagine.
So, all right. Well, you're working on it. You're training. You're an astronaut in training.
No, I just love filth, man.
Like you don't have the ability to even clean anything because, your water is such a scarce commodity and stuff. And
Sure. I don't know. That's a very interesting point. It really is, man. I mean, personal hygiene, if you're there for a few days is one thing, but for years, sure. Very interesting.
Well, there's always somebody there.
Yeah.
They rotate out every 4 to 6 months or something, I think. So they say.
Well, Hollywood basement, man. Some hotel somewhere.
What do you think? This is what it feels like when you realize the Earth is flat and you're up your Neo and then there's the pod.
Okay. That right there is a perfect analogy for me.
All right.
For 9/11. Okay. Multiple stages. Mm-hmm. I thought I was free. Well, look, again, people, I became free once again, born again. That's the key. That's the only thing that really matters. That's where I stand. That's where I'll always stand. But as far as searching for truth, to see this matrix around us every day, it's peel after peel after peel, It's stepping stones for people. But yes, this was the one to where I was fully unplugged from the
Yeah.
system. That did it. I was like, okay, whatever. I
Yeah.
shared the last video of my sister. She watched half of it and it scared her. Now she's born again. I have no doubt. But
The last the
go ahead.
last video, what, the last thing that we did or what?
Oh yeah, yeah, about 666. She's like this. She takes faith very simple, childlike. She's not a heady person. I'll put it that way. That's not a swipe. That's her personality. She doesn't question those things. As far as looking into this kind of stuff, it's not her forte.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. I told her to finish watching it because it wasn't based on that. It was based on something that's very prevalent that we had a discussion about. And she's firm in that. She gets all this. She's not going to take it. She doesn't promote it. She's not going to stop anybody else from doing it, but she'll have those conversations with certain people. Everybody's
there's some people that we encourage too.
Well, obviously.
I'll save their spot in line.
That's it, man. But yeah, she don't get this. She said, this is basically how she put it. She said, Jimmy, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
She said, but that's real deep for me. I'm not that person. I said, okay, fine. Leave it at that.
Well, we're coming up on the whole. It's kind of looking like the whole start with that deal where you're paying a day's wage to get your food, and
oh yeah,
don't hurt the oil and the wine, but it's day's wage for a couple of pounds of wheat or something like that, or whatever that kind of seems like. That stuff is on its way.
Sure it is.
And I went to the grocery store, and the old little tiny little third of a pound of steak was like $12 or something, and it wasn't even very good steak. It's like, oh no, here we are.
Yeah, I went to the store today and spent $50, and I had like 2 small bags.
Yeah,
and I'm very conservative with what I eat and what I buy, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, yeah, it's starting.
Yeah, everything that wasn't. I'm lucky in that it's our Coborn's 100th anniversary or 50th anniversary or something. So there was amazing deals on like a lot of stuff that we get. So it was good, but I couldn't get any steak. Couldn't buy it because it was like there's no way a little third pound little cube for $12 is gonna really do anything for anybody.
No, I'll just stick to my $3 pizzas. I'll be fine. I don't miss steak.
Yeah, we actually got pizzas for like $1.75 because of their deal. Yeah, the Jack's pizzas. They're not wonderful.
Yep, Jack's.
But normally the best deal you're gonna get is like 5 for $10, and we got them 3 for $5.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so 6 for $10, man. Couldn't believe it.
No.
But anyways, without that offset, we probably would have had, instead of $150, it would have been $220 probably,
sure.
Without all the sales and everything. So, but it's like, yeah, keep your eye on it. And time to get them chickens. And that was the comment. Before we started streaming, we had our chat back and forth about cryptocurrency, and one of the people that I was watching was discussing the merits of like a Monero type coin over like Bitcoin over these other coins, and they're stressing these privacy factors. And the guy who was promoting Bitcoin was like, well, if the government does all of that stuff, then it doesn't matter what you invest in other than lead and chickens, because you're going to need some eggs and your bullets. And that's the truth. When people start talking about their bug out bags and they're saving up for the apocalypse, it's like none of that stuff is going to help you.
If you're a tier 1 guy that's been heavily trained like a SEAL or Blackwater, yes, the odds are there. But for the common man, if you don't have those skill sets, I'm sorry, you're not. It's not going to work.
I'm going to save up all of my stuff in my condo in the middle of Minneapolis. It's like, yeah, okay, all right. Unless you're like 30 miles out of town, better yet, 40 or 50 miles out of town. I mean, it's good to have food on hand in case they shut the supply lines down. But beyond that, you're not fighting any rebellion. That's for sure.
You got it.
And
Yeah.
the whole idea is not to collapse the system. The whole idea is to kind of,
Reform it.
you wouldn't even say reform. It's just like push back to the point where we have something better. Like right now with like money, the fiat system is dying, and
No,
with
that's true.
America, the best fiat currency right now is Americans with the US dollar, and that's inflating at 20%.
You
Now
got it.
everybody else's fiat currency is up into the 50, 60, whatever percent. Some of them are into the thousands of percent. So America's is the best, and we're inflating at 20%. So our whole thing is kind of done. So you
Sure.
have this better currency out there, and the cryptocurrencies, which are a two-edged sword. Okay, that's
Right.
just what they are.
Right.
But it kind of evens the playing field, and it's like we don't need to try and destroy and take down the government. We just use something else, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sure. Cause
you can have your Federal Reserve coins, and you can have your little socialist, communist, big major cities with the smart meters and all that stuff, and we're going to do something else over here. And you sway minds by showing people how much better things are, much like bringing someone to Christ. It's like, look, this is a better way over here. And by people not participating in these crappy systems that abuse everything, then that's how we make change. It's not really such a reformation. It's just choosing something else or going a different way or whatever.
Sure.
And that's important to do. It's like, and and you can really get caught up in the fight the man, fight the man.
Boy.
And trying to shake people and wake them up and all this stuff, and it's like, just go do something else. That's a way more better way to do things, and that's like kind of the Christian way is you're supposed to do things by example, and
Amen. Amen. I absolutely agree. That's where I'm at in my walk. It took me a long, hard road to learn a lot of those things, and that's true.
Yeah,
that's true, because I have a particular set of skills, and it's I believe in being prepared. God, He gives us a mind to use. Man, we have common sense.
Yeah,
He's going to meet you halfway, but you have to do your part. But there's a fine line in like prepping, having a bug out situation, or plan A, B through Z. There's a limit. There's a limit. I don't go overboard. It's different for everyone, but I'm not that guy anymore.
I look at it like this: if it keeps you out of trouble and it makes you happy to go prep stuff, then go prep stuff.
Sure.
There's a big difference with going, everybody needs to prep right now. The end is coming. If you don't have at least 12 years worth of food, that's some people are like that.
Sure. They're hardcore.
That's a little more than hardcore. That's like nuts.
Well,
but, there's people that enjoy, if you've got some land, building your little bunker and having all your stuff and just, it's kind of fun to build,
Sure. Yeah, no doubt.
And whatever, but there's a difference between that and recommending that as a way of life for everybody. It's like, nah, you probably do okay just with some land and some chickens, but whatever, man. You bury that bus and make a hanger out of it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we have here on the screen I don't know, it probably doesn't show up very well on the internet, but this is everybody throughout histories from all different regions and all different backgrounds, what their concept of the shape of the earth was.
I've seen that later.
All recorded history.
Yep.
And then we have what NASA says it is.
How about that?
Maybe there's another picture out there, but I'm pretty sure that NASA is the only one that has the picture of the earth. Don't they copyright that or something that nobody else can use it?
Absolutely. You got it.
I would bet if I made a space movie where I had to use the image of the earth, I bet NASA would charge me. You think?
Oh yeah.
That's their cop, because it is an artistic representation. It's not an actual photograph. Because like if it was an actual photograph, then it would be public domain.
You got it.
They probably paid a contractor to make that thing.
That's it, man. Sure.
Yeah.
Dang. Sad, man.
And then as we find out, which I never really knew this, but then as you find out that they were teaching that the earth was flat back in the early 1900s.
Sure.
In public school.
My grandparents believe it. They were taught it. So, there you go.
Well, there you go.
Wow, huh?
Ooh, the Slavic one. I didn't notice this one before. Looks like we got some tree thing going on there. I'll have to look that up in a bigger image. Looks like we got the tree of life and the big, huge tree in the flat earth. And then they've got three things here. I'll just pretend that's the Trinity because I don't want to go into my pagan roots.
Yeah, be careful.
And the old Slav gypsy people, we got some weird ideas.
And look, that's another issue that made me question my faith a couple of years ago when it got really big in our community, talking about the Trinity.
Mhm.
I don't understand a lot of that. You know,
Yeah.
I think most people don't. It's a concept beyond our reasoning. I mean, some people get it obviously better than others. And a lot of people have explained it to me, and I'm like, okay.
Sure.
But it got to the point I was like, well, wait a minute. Uh-oh, there's that doubt again. You know, Satan coming in to rob you of your joy, because I'm sitting there berating myself because I don't get the bigger picture, but everybody else around me does. And I'm like, oops,
Nah.
is that a fellowship? You know, that's just how my mind has always worked. And I finally just had to put it to rest, man. I was like, wait a minute, man.
Sure.
You know, it's interesting, but whatever. What else?
Yeah, I mean, you get into a lot of things where if you don't word things exactly correctly, or if people don't approve of your definitions that you're
You got
using
it.
for things, like I use persona as opposed
Sure.
to person, and people hate that. Then they say, "Oh, you're a modalist," and I'm like, "Whatever you want to say, man. I don't
No,
care.
no, it says
I
God.
don't care.
Yeah,
I know that
Right.
I will act differently to say if I had children, whatever. I'd act differently to my children than I do to my wife, than I do to my brother, than I do to my father. It doesn't mean that I'm different. It means that they're
No,
seeing a different side
that's
of me,
that's
and that's
exactly
all it is."
sure.
And there are three, and I would say that there are more than three aspects to God, many, many, many more. But the three that he chose to relay himself to us is the Holy Ghost and Jesus and God the Father, and so that's what we're gonna roll with. you know,
Good
um,
enough for me.
he's
That's good.
also, to me, I mean, it's like, well, yeah, God also holds all the dimensions together and every particle of sand and everything else.
Sure.
We even call it the God particle when they get down far enough into
You
something and they
got
can't
it.
figure out what holds it together.
That's
They
it.
call it a strong nuclear force. They got no idea, and it's like they call it a God particle, and it's like, well, there you go. So yeah, I mean, it's people almost want to like flex their Bible muscles to fight with
Oh
people.
yeah, sure.
I don't know. You used a term that I disagree with, and I went to the ancient Greek and Hebrew, and it says
Oh
this. It's like,
please. Which Greek did you
okay,
go to again?
be like, okay, put on your tiny hat and go over there to the wall, and you know what to do next. And
Right, right. I have
yeah,
to be a professor now of languages, really, that are primarily dead languages, just to be able to understand the Word of God. That's
right,
another sob, you know. Please give me a good concordance and a King James. I'm good.
yeah,
Amen, Nick. It comes down to two different types of people: saved or unsaved. That's it. Amen.
yeah. This is one that took me a long time to figure out, and I don't think this picture is a very good representation of what they're explaining. But everybody has seen jets flying up in the sky. And even when they're little tiny, I mean, this is the other thing too with the space station. It's only about the size of a 747, and you're supposed to be able to see that thing like 200,000 miles away. No, 200,000 feet up or whatever they say it is.
Sure,
And
sure.
it's like, no, you can't see a 747 when it's up close to 40,000 feet. It is incredibly difficult to see.
Yep, I agree.
I
agree.
And it's not just because of the size, but also because you're looking through all that atmosphere.
Yeah.
But here is because they're so far away and you can see them from so far off, you should be able to zoom in on them and actually watch them fly over the curve, which is what this is. Like if you looked at the horizon in the out in the water, you should see planes at a different angle. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah.
Like you should be able to see the underside and as the nose disappears over the curve.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you never see that.
I've seen this recently, what you have up now. And
Yeah.
you're dead on. You're dead on. That's another little bitty light bulb. And I was
Right.
like, okay.
Planes, they just fly away and they just keep going farther and farther and farther and farther. At some point, if they're flying around the curve, they should get lower in the sky going around the curve.
No, but your eyes have limits, Max, and it's perspective.
And that's that whole thing where no one understands how a gyroscope works, apparently.
Yeah.
But like a plane that's locked in level with a level gyroscope would have to pitch its nose down and not be level anymore in order to fly around the globe.
Hold on one 1 second. Go ahead,
Sure.
Max. I got to get this.
So, I mean, I always have to explain and re-explain because I'm an old flight sim guy, and I bet I could fly a Cessna right now, even though I never have. I've got enough experience in it where I could take the thing off and fly around. I know what the instruments do. A gyroscope, there's probably even a picture of it in here somewhere. A gyroscope is called an artificial horizon, and it's a flat line that tells you, even if the windows are blacked out, that you are flying straight and level, and you're not gaining altitude or you're not losing altitude. And you can take your hands off the stick, throw on autopilot, and the plane will continue to cruise flat and level. You will not gain altitude. You will not lose altitude. But if you're trying to do that on something that's a ball, you would continuously have to pitch your nose down in order to keep the same altitude.
At
There
those
isn't anything
speeds?
around it.
Yep,
Yes, 500
absolutely.
miles an hour. Yes.
You got it. You got it.
Really at any speed, but you just wouldn't notice it. But at 500 miles an hour, you'd have to pitch your nose down constantly.
Yep. Absolutely, Max. Absolutely.
There is a picture of that later off in this, but this is a weather balloon at 120,000 feet. The sun looks like it's definitely at least 60 million miles away, or 66.666 repeating, whatever they say. Yeah, there's the Red Bull space jump guy. I think we lost you again. No, we still got you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I got you.
Okay, cool.
Those who take the time to research the flat Earth become flat earthers. Only if they have an open mind. A lot of people just Google stuff. They come across something that they can't understand or explain why it is, because they know in their mind that, this is all we ever see is flat. And they know in their mind they don't feel like they're moving or spinning or weaving around or whatever.
Well, sure, that's a subconscious level. You know?
They have to try and defeat this argument. Otherwise, they have to admit that they're a flat earther, and nobody wants to do that.
Yeah. Again, how many people can actually, at the end of the day, admit that they're wrong, or let alone being lied to?
Right. And so they'll look for a grasp at any excuse they possibly can, no matter how ridiculous they are.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. I've seen it in all circles, man. I don't care what the subject matter is. It's always another explanation, that has nothing to do with reason 9 times out of 10. And it's interesting. It's like the old ad hominem, if you're winning the conversation, they'll attack you. It can get ugly.
Yeah.
People's biased in their perception of what they think truth is. I mean, there's definitely a defense mechanism there that's built in, and I understand that.
Well, at some point in time, actually, people considered what you saw on television as being knowledge.
Thank you.
Some point in time, it was whatever somebody heard about on the news. They go, "Duh, did you hear about this thing they said on the news?" And then you're around the water cooler, and someone else goes, "Oh, yeah, you know what I think about that?" And then they go, "Blah blah 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 blah," and they all talk about nonsense back and forth, and people count that as knowledge, and it's like, what?
Yeah, talking.
Can you believe that Trump did that? Oh.
And that they would go back to the moon in a nanosecond.
Oh, man, that guy.
Yeah, I actually showed that to my sister, and she was just like, oh, wow. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm like, okay.
Right. And that guy's, every time they let that guy on camera, he's hilarious. Yeah, here's the thing with the gyroscope. This little thing in the middle is your gyroscope. They call it an artificial horizon, right? Where I don't see any curve in this line that goes across your artificial horizon. And you notice that this, even though this is a video game representation, it looks like their altitude is something like probably 10,000 feet or 2 kilometers, right around 10,000 feet. But the horizon, because the video game modelers correctly model what the Earth is, it's high level.
You got it.
Because it's a flat plane.
Bingo. No walleye vision.
Right.
I don't know.
And you know what? Submarines work the same way. They have gyroscopes also.
Yep.
Otherwise, they would have to ride the globe too.
Oh, what
this is a good one because we had the Suez Canal, which is a funny little prank that the guys with all the money who want to take over everything, they pulled that prank where they have they had the big ship to block the Suez Canal.
Right. Right.
And then they painted a logo on the side of it, and then they crashed a truck in China with the
Yep.
same logo. And they did
That's
all this.
it.
They did as these pranksters, man. They just, I think it's hilarious.
I do too.
So
Life's just a stage, man.
this caption is the Suez Canal and the Mediterranean, the Red Sea is 100 miles long without any locks. What that means is that there is no physical obstruction to the water going through. They just dug a big trench, apparently, or the trench was probably already there, and then they just improved on it to make it so that the boats could go through and dredge it out.
Right.
Making the water an uninterrupted continuation of the two seas. When constructed, the Earth's supposed curvature was not taken into account, nor is it taken into account when anybody builds anything. It was dug along a horizontal datum line, 26 feet below sea level. I should say sea curve, passing through several lakes from one sea to the other, with the datum line and the water surface running perfectly parallel over the 100 miles.
Look
If
at the
curve
numbers.
was severe, there should have been 6,666 feet of curvature. Imagine that.
That's funny. That is just funny. Yeah, I've seen videos on that as well.
Well, I mean, China's got 100-mile long bridges that are physically built, and it's like, okay, if you say that there's some funky gravity going on and your laser meters and all that stuff are bending, right? That's the next thing, is they say that when you're lasering something like 60 miles away, that's really bending around the curve. That's what they say. You have to. There's nothing else that way. Right. No. There's nothing else they can do. It's like, oh yeah, everything bends with gravity. And it's like, yeah, but the clouds stay up. Well, I don't know. You're just not smart enough to understand.
You got it. You got it.
So yeah, I mean, we have all these things, and the best part is when you look in like the instruction manuals for like Engineer Daily or something, and the instruction manuals for people who do surveying, and the instruction manuals for pilots, and the instruction manuals for all these jobs that would have to account for the shape of the Earth. All the instruction manuals tell the operator to treat the Earth as though it's a stationary, non-moving flat plane.
Yep, that's a fact.
Every single one.
Yep. I looked into that too.
How do you have a bridge over 100 miles on a ball, okay? On a ball, but you're told not to take into account that it's a ball.
It's not possible.
No.
Not with the illusion that they
was
preach. There's no way.
That was my trigger right there.
I hear you.
Was that when I understood, I mean, what got me was the gyroscope. That was just, as soon as and this was way long ago, before I even said that it was a flat earther or anything. I'm like, nope, it's a gyroscope. I heard that, and I'm like, that's absolutely correct, is that you would have to tip the nose down. And I've been in a lot of planes. Like, a lot of people may not fly, but I've been in hundreds of planes probably. And I'm like, yeah, I know
for me, but yes, I understand. It's based
I've also got thousands of hours like simulating in World War II online and all this stuff, but I've actually, had to travel for work. And
I gotcha.
From here to California, what I always thought was like, all of these years have gone by and it still takes 3.5 hours to go to California. Like, why? Why aren't these things supposed to be faster by now? I mean, what's going on with that? So I was always kind of keyed up on that. And then it's like, oh yeah, someone brings up the fact that these guys never actually ride the ball. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly true. They just fly straight and dead level. And that's how everything works. And you could say, well, it's just like a video game. And some of these video games, it's like, well, they're going to model it accurate to how the Earth is. I mean,
the physics
you look at how all this stuff goes, and they're modeling all of these things after real locations like Microsoft Flight Simulator and stuff. They just take like Google Maps, which are a 2D map, by the way.
Got it.
Which don't work when you wrap them around a ball. No, and they piecemeal them all together, and there's your flight sim, and they treat everything as a non-rotating stationary plane. And that's what got me. It's like, okay, after the gyroscope thing, then it was, So pilots have to know that the earth is flat. And then I'm like, I wonder what other sorts of things require you to know. And then I got, oh, okay, well, submariner, anyone who's like in the Navy who drives big boats would have to know, because they're supposedly radar ranging these things at like hundreds of miles out, and that's impossible on a ball.
Line of sight, right?
It's
Line
it's,
of
it's
sight.
absolutely impossible. Well, even with radar, yeah, radar is mostly line of sight, but um, hundreds of miles away, you're not getting any sort of bouncing off the moon or whatever they say they're doing.
Sure.
It has to be that they're actually line of sighting that stuff.
You got it.
And yeah, and then with lasers, they're totally declassified lasers they hit people with from, I don't know what it was, 20 or 40 miles away. But yeah, that's not
Absolutely.
completely impossible unless your ship is like, what, 5-10 miles tall.
Yeah, that's right. Curvature.
And the other interesting thing is with the Navy stuff is apparently, they have their precision guided
Smart weapons.
yeah, I'm thinking of cruise missiles specifically, because
Sure.
cruise missiles actually would have to follow you would think, because they have people programming this stuff. Apparently when the cruise missile, once it gets within like 10 miles of its target, there's this other thing that takes over that actually inputs the correct stuff.
Absolutely.
So it goes down and it does all this curve nonsense that came from the contractor who built the missile. And
Right.
then it switches over to the real targeting system
Yeah.
when it gets in, because otherwise it wouldn't be able to hit anything.
Right. Kind of like
It would be off. It would be off by a mile. You come in there and you're launching your little cruise missile. Ain't no way.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Nothing works on a globe. That's the thing. It's like everyone says that this wouldn't work on a flat Earth, that wouldn't work on a flat Earth. All I gotta say is well, it does. Look how much stuff doesn't work on a globe. There is nothing that works on a globe except what? Circumnavigation. That works the same for both.
That's right.
And other than that, what else you got? There's nothing.
True, Max. Very true.
What was my big rant?
Well, cool.
Nick
man.
says, I want someone to explain to me how a vacuum space can exist next to an atmosphere. Absolutely.
That's one of my big ones right there. You hit it. Thank you. That's not possible in a vacuum or microgravity.
And then they're saying, well, it's space and no one's ever been to space, so therefore we don't know. And it's like, well, does physics not apply? Physics applies everywhere. And that's the problem. I mean, you're completely disobeying thermodynamics. All of these totally crazy ideas, like
entropy.
Yeah,
you got it.
Evolution is wiped out by thermodynamics.
You better believe it.
Vacuum in space is wiped out by thermodynamics. Having your air pressure right next to a vacuum and all of this stuff, and it's like, oh, well, gravity holds the atmosphere to the ball.
It doesn't work that way. It's an impossibility. What? Right.
I mean, you're talking like, forget clouds. We're talking molecules of air. Gravity is holding molecules of air to the ball, overcoming a vacuum of space, but yet you can take a straw and drink your Coke through the straw.
Well, sure, that's suction. It's pressure.
It's ridiculous.
Welcome to the sideshow, right?
This is not stuff that you have to be like a guru in science. This is stuff that people do every day.
Sure.
Like, I think that most people should be able to understand what a gyroscope does. It's like spinning a top. The top is going to stay up as long as it's spinning. And that's what a gyroscope does. And it should always spin level as long as it's spinning. And that's what its job is. But if you're trying to use that to navigate over a globe, you got problems.
So where does special relativity or the atom effect come in to where there's an actual force field around the planet? That's buffoonery.
Well, special relativity requires special ed to.
Does it not? And I was that guy, so I guess I can understand it.
Yeah, well, they got to get to you when you're like 4 years old in preschool and teach you all this stuff.
Man. Oh, well, there goes the hopes for the Stargate, right?
It wasn't 66.6. It was 93 million miles away. Is what the sun is.
Okay.
It's a nice picture.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give them that. Sure, but that looks relatively, I use that term loosely, of course, but close. So you tell me. Because if it was,
that's because it's so big.
yeah, and light doesn't work that way either.
No.
So I get that. I get it. You have to stop, rethink it, open mind, like you said, and look into these things. And then, okay, how do you argue against it?
Well, you get this whole problem of everything is as it actually appears.
Well, there you go.
And then the Bible says that God's not the author of confusion.
Bingo.
So imagine that. Well,
Okay.
everything is actually as it looks. So it looks like, the sun's up there. You could almost send a rocket to it. I don't know. It's probably not a physical object. Definitely. I would say definitely not a physical object.
Sure. Plasma.
Who knows what it is?
Sure.
But it doesn't look that far away.
It's what a professor said, 70s, I think. I saw that recently. I'd have to look it back up. But he basically wrote a book and said something to the degree that the moon was actually plasma.
Yeah.
And of course they attacked his character and he kind of got swept under the rug, just like everything else in history. But it's things are interesting, man.
Well, they decided it was a nuclear reactor because nuclear power was big at the time.
That's about right. Yeah.
That's what it was. I mean, they decided it was a big nuke in space. And it's like, how did you come to that conclusion? Like, Hiroshima? Did anyone ever hear of Hiroshima? There's a lot of fire there. It's a fireball in space. And it's like, that's just stupid. Now you've got this problem of you're going to have fire in a vacuum.
Thank you.
Like, okay.
It's in a vacuum. You can't do it. Air pressure, that's one thing.
Well, you can burn rockets in a vacuum. They're just not going to go anywhere because you can have your oxygen up there to make a flame, but they're not going to go anywhere because there's nothing to push on. If you're in a vacuum,
I'll stand corrected on that.
Yeah, if you're in a vacuum, you would have to throw out as much crap out the back of your rocket as the weight of your spaceship in order to make it go anywhere.
Bingo, Nick. Same size. Yeah, I understand, Max.
Yeah, and I've actually done the calculations on all this stuff because I'm such a nerd like that.
I have too on a lot of things with it. Sure.
So in the 1969 space thing, they said that they went 260 some thousand miles an hour or 300 and some thousand miles an hour on their way back. Okay. Not going out there when they had rocket fuel, right? When they connected their little tweaker wagon back up to their little LEM and came back to Earth, they actually went like twice as fast as they did going to the moon. And it's like, well, how do you do that without any rocket fuel or anything? So
never heard of that.
Some weird gravity, whatever, slingshot, they say, is how they actually did it.
Yeah.
So that allows them, to actually exceed the speed at which the thrust comes out the back of their rocket.
What, they didn't actually get the time travel doing the slingshot to go back to save the whales?
Okay, the slingshot thing, I don't think is something that they actually even quoted. I'm kind of just making it up because you look at it, it looks like they went up there, orbited around the moon, and came back, but they're going faster by like 100,000 miles an hour than they did as they were going out there. So I'll just say, okay, they got a really powerful rocket, and then you look up the stats on their rocket, and it turns out that the rocket thrust being expelled out the back of the rocket is something like 80,000 miles an hour or something.
There's no
So, well, let's just say if it's 80,000 miles an hour, and then you have so many pounds of thrust, right? The weight that it's supposed to generate. If the rocket at any point ever exceeds 80,000 miles an hour,
I know where you're going. Sure.
It's absolute BS.
That's right.
So how are you going 300,000 miles an hour when your rocket thrust only expels at 80,000 miles an hour? It's not possible.
It's just like Jack O'Neill would say, magnets.
Yeah. Gravity is always the standard thing.
Magnets.
Right? They got close enough. As soon as they got pointed toward the Earth's gravity sucked them in and allowed them to exceed and break all laws of physics. Rocket thrust, I mean, here's the thing. It's like, yeah, rocket thrust has pounds of force in an atmosphere, but the higher you go up, the less and the less and the less and the less thrust that it has.
Well, that's my point. Right.
And it's like you get up there into space with no atmosphere. Now you're trying to drive a motorboat, as an airplane and trying to go somewhere. It's just not going to work.
Exactly.
It's designed for a specific medium, and rockets are designed for an atmosphere.
You got it. Bingo.
And I don't know what you would use in space because that's some mythical thing that's completely bogus. Yeah, I don't know. We have
So,
to ask the aliens in the triangle ships what we're supposed to do. But yeah, I've done the math and the calculations and all that stuff, and it's like, I used to think that I was just kind of like an average dude here, and I watch the scientist guys explain this stuff and say how everybody's dumb who doesn't understand this, and I'm looking at the sheets. That's the actual technical data sheets of the actual official stuff, and I'm like, how are you going faster than what you actually have for thrust? It's like putting a bottle rocket on a 747 and the 747 breaks the sound barrier. That's like what they're talking about. It's like physically impossible, breaks physics. And that's when I come to the point that, oh, it's fake. Now it's like a load off my mind now that I can just go, oh, they're actors. They don't know. They're given a script and that's what they do.
You got it.
And just say that. And that's why they'll never do any debates with anybody real, is because they couldn't answer the simplest of questions.
Sure.
And they understood that the second that those astronauts came back, the original astronauts, and they had their press thing.
Yeah.
And even though they had softball questions to answer to these guys are like, oh,
they knew it. Sure.
I can't. And they did a crappy job of answering everything. And
terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, if people can't see this for what it is, I don't know what to tell them. It's just like any other truth. You've got to come to that on your own terms. But
once upon a time, man, 20 years ago, it used to be like fun to be into this stuff, right?
Oh, well,
like what's the new conspiracy of the week? And being a David Icke, as I like to call him, be a David Icke and talk about the lizard people. That was fun.
The Draconians.
Yep. And talk about the ancient Anunnaki and the guy with the big hair. All that stuff was fun. All that stuff is fun, good entertainment. And nowadays, people are just like, I don't want to talk about it.
It's overkill, man. It's information overload in this society too.
Well, like, don't people even think that it's fun to say that they hoax the moon, or the moon thing? People are probably like, they already know. But it's like,
sure.
hey, SpaceX is a total hoax. Look at this. Wouldn't people get a kick out of that and go, oh my gosh?
Some that are earnestly seeking, that have like minds, but other than that, everybody else is sheeple. That's not saying they're not saved or not dialed in. They're just on a different level, and that's what it comes down to in any walk of life. I don't care who you are.
Well, what do you think about this idea? Is that there's actually only a few 100,000 real people with real souls walking around, and everybody else is just an NPC? That is just here
from the digital universe perspective, but I don't believe in none of that. I can't even entertain that.
No,
there's no way. There's no way. If you're living, breathing, I mean, I don't know, but bottom line, as far as the physical and what God has to say about it, you're a human being made in His image. Other than that, I don't know. I don't think it goes that deep, to be honest with you, but that's weird.
Yeah, it is.
Even for me, that's a strange one,
I don't know.
I think I do.
Maybe everybody else is the normal one and I'm the NPC. Look at that way.
I've heard of that too. So, am I crazy? Faculty's messed up? Maybe, could be. Or is it everybody else? Who's the common denominator? Again, is this Gnosticism? Yes, partly, but that has nothing to do with salvation.
I don't know about that. I mean, a lot of these other ideas have a lot of truth in them.
Well, that's
the idea of making your own reality and you are your own God stuff comes from New Age things, but a lot of that stuff is true, is that you are a creator and you do make your own reality. And
well, what did God say about our imagination, that man was?
Well, yeah, but that falls into the space stuff.
Yeah. Smoke and mirrors, people. Smoke.
I think that's deliberately, and all the things the science falsely so called, and the grand delusions and all this stuff. What bigger delusion is there than that teaching people who know and can feel and have senses that they live on a ball, and they came from monkeys?
You know what?
Where do you go from there? There is no bigger thing that you could possibly do. So that has to be a grand illusion that the Bible's talking about. This is what else you got. You got the thing of
interesting.
You got the thing of Satan coming here and saying, hey, I'm Jesus come back or something. But we're already gone by then.
Well, that's my perspective.
So,
sure.
We're already gone.
You know what? I agree. I've thought for years, okay, What is this? Are we living in that time? I see the great falling away. I've always thought, what event has to take place first? And what I can see from Scripture, the New World Order, the New World religion, wouldn't you have to have a great falling away before you'd have to have a one world religion?
Well,
That
the
could
world,
mean a lot of different things, but as far as the grand deception that you're talking about, I believe you. I'm actually there in the past
yeah.
year or so with a coof. Yes, that's what I see. That's my perception. I really do.
And here is, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be super dogmatic on that, but here is why I come to that conclusion: is that I've said many a times that during this whole pandemic nonsense thing, I have learned way more just in the last year than probably any time before that.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with accepting that, yeah, the earth is flat, and that throws off everything else. Now you're looking at with completely different eyes.
You better,
because now it's like, okay, when you hear something that sounds like it's probably true, but then they mention something about a globe or something, it's like, oh, well, that's fake. Yep. We came to this conclusion because of Earth's rotation. At this time, it's like, oh, well, you're liars.
Well, you have eyes to see, so to speak, in a different way. So,
and it's like that deception must have been one of the last ones to go, because now it's like you ain't fooling me with nothing,
Amen. Amen, Max.
It's
they live.
What could possibly be any bigger than that?
I don't know. I thought for years, okay, the extraterrestrial perspective,
but those are real.
Right. So lemmings, sheep, if you're alive, you can come to Christ. I get it. Until then, you're not born again. You're a child of the devil. The ground was cursed. Okay, all bets are off. Anything, nothing surprises me at this point. Nothing.
The only problem with the grand deception is they have the whole thing where only with the very elect would, if they, not
if
it were possible, the very elect would be deceived, which brings you full circle all the way back to like, okay, there's real people and then there's NPC people.
Yeah, I get it. I see what you're saying now. I do. I don't know.
And I'm like, I don't know.
It's hard to put in words, but I understand what you mean.
And what gets me is people that, identify themselves as Christian. When you explain the biblical, if they believe their Bibles, right? If you explain the biblical thing of why, the Bible says nothing about a globe in it, don't you think God would have told you that? And it's always written.
You're crazy.
It's written from a perspective of, well, Earth's created first, and that it doesn't move, and we're God's footstool, and heaven is always above.
Yep.
And Jesus on the high mountains, and
all
this stuff, where there is no confusion anywhere in any of that. It looks just exactly how you open the window, you look out, and you see the sun, and sometimes you see the moon right next to it. How about that? There's no confusion to any of that stuff. And then there's people to be like, well, that's crazy. And it's like, well, what do you choose? Do you believe the Bible, or how do you explain that? The only people who even have any attempt is, say, people who don't use the King James. People will say, wow, I use the ESV. And it's like, well, I don't know what that says, but
that's what I was fixing to lead into. You just broke that open for me. So
yeah, in the ancient Hebrew, it really means this.
Oh, please, more doubt. I don't have to be a scholar of dead languages to understand God's word.
In the ancient Hebrew, the circle, wherever that passage is, the circle of the earth.
Sure.
Is that a globe, I think? Yeah, in the circle of the earth. Yep. They say in the ancient Hebrew that could mean a sphere or a ball, and it's like, well, later on in the Bible it uses the term ball.
Context.
And it doesn't use the same Hebrew word. So
that's right. Multiple meanings.
We live on a dinner plate.
Just don't fall off the edge.
There you go.
I don't know, how enlightened does one have to be? You can be born again and be non-effect, like I said before in the last video.
Well, it's a pretty good question. It used to be there too. What difference does it really make? Does it make a difference if you
it makes a difference because it's truth.
Right.
Okay. Does it make a difference when it comes to the gospel? None whatsoever. And I think we all get that.
Right. But I don't think I was taking it as I think I was taking it too lightly, in that it really doesn't matter if you believe you live on a ball or not. And it's like, actually, now that I've kind of and all of the benefit and all the positivity and all of the scales that fallen off your eyes after coming to the truth, it's like, yeah, it is kind of important.
Well,
You do
okay, I can
that.
make the same argument about the legal system, about maritime law, about 9/11, on and on and on and on and on. But it's stepping stones. I get it, because once you come to those particular understandings and truth, it leads you to a different perspective. Yeah. So do you trust the system? Okay, they lied about this, that, and the other. Okay, all bets are off then. But again, people do not have to look into none of this. You can be born again, a Bible believer or reader, like I am, obviously, and go to church and do your thing and be perfectly fine with the Lord. That's fine. That's why I don't bring this stuff up in my real life, my day-to-day walk, unless it's like-minded people.
Oh, I don't either, but I'll definitely have some fisticuffs with somebody who's claiming that the Bible doesn't teach flat earth. And it's like, what Bible do you read? And I'm not going to say that the Bible doesn't outright say, earth is flat, this and that, but so what? It's not really needed because it is. It's not. Right? For thousands of years, ever since the Bible's been written, everyone knows it's flat. Yes, everybody.
Without question.
Why would there be anything like in the end? It's like, okay, at the end of Revelation, we're going to have, and by the way, it's flat.
Yeah, mysteries, man. I get it.
And it's like, do people not even read the Bible?
Most don't. I had a conversation with a lady today. She was in fear, about 70 years old. She got about 3 foot from me in a store. It's just sad, so say everybody sees it every day. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir." And I was in uniform. And I said, "Excuse me?" She said, "Oh, apparently I got too close to you. I'm sorry." And I said, "Ma'am," I said, "I'm going to ask you one thing." "Yes, sir." And I'm like, "Are you born again?" "Oh, yes." I said, "Okay, then no fear." She said, "Well, basically, I'll be honest with you. I got the jab because of pressures, from people in her life. And I hear that a lot." I said, "Ma'am," I said, "that's your business. I'm not anybody to really say whether to take it or not. That's something you've got to take to the Lord." I said, "But you got to keep things in mind and perspective that look well into things. Stick to scripture, cut your TV off, and be careful what you take in."
Oh, man, just turning the TV off is a big one.
Yeah, and I got that strange look, but it's like she got it. And everybody in the store stopped that was up front. And nobody said anything, but it was like everybody was listening. And when it's from the Lord and when it's not. Because I'm like you, I'll speak boldly, but there's a way to speak to people. I'm big on that. Yeah. If you find that opportunity, seize it, And I kept it short and simple. And it's like, God bless you. Pray about everything and have a great day. I just walked out. But I'm just like, man, it's just sad. It's just sad. It really is.
Yeah. You always have fun, having some fun with people.
Well, I mean, look, I do that all the time, Max. I'm like you with that. Trust me. And you know that. You know that about me.
Yeah.
I don't look. I used to be a wise ass, so to speak, and that doesn't get you very far. That's kind of my personality as far as sarcasm. And you wrote the book on that one, so. Well, there's ways to talk to people, and when I'm serious, I'm serious. When I'm not, I like to put things in riddles to make people think. That's just me. Again, we're all ignorant about a lot of things. But in this community, we stand on particular truths for a reason. And there's certain things that I know as knowledge, wholeheartedly. And there's a lot of things I don't, and I'm still in search of. But as far as me being comfortable in Christ and being his child, I'm good. The rest of it is just interest. That's it. Study, research, whatever.
Well, one day you'll figure it out where they buried Hoffa.
My dad used to speak about that, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I never understood who cared. I mean, I guess people like the guy or something. It's kind of before my time.
Yeah, it's back to the mob and money.
I'd rather the mob run things other than the government. At least you know where you stand.
Well, isn't that true, though?
Yeah.
That's interesting, but that's true.
Well, that's how they do things in Mexico, apparently.
Sure. You have guidelines.
Depending on where you live,
Right.
Yeah, some Yeah, they got a little bit of a drug problem down there.
A little bit.
But I don't understand if I'm not in competition with the mob, what do they care what I'm doing? I'm just a potential customer to them.
Right. Right. As long as you're not a mule, you're good.
Yeah.
Hell, I mean, look, 80% of the people that I work with or around where I work are from those places. And man, they'll tell you those stories. And it just, yeah, you've heard them all.
Yeah.
And it's true for the most part. But like you say, it depends on what particular area. Some places you can kick back and eat tacos and do Bitcoin. So,
there you go. which is great advice for anybody listening or listening later. If you have, some money in a savings account that just sits there and you never look at, it'd be very beneficial to figure out how crypto works and throw it into Bitcoin. And then inflation's at about 20%. So you can't go wrong with figuring out crypto at this point. All them rich people are scooping it all up, and
that's it, man.
And yeah, it's beneficial to spend a couple hours to learn about how crypto works and why it's actually valuable. That was my problem for the longest time on that. It's not figuring out how like a string of computer code is really valuable. Yeah, and it's not until you actually listen to people who know what they're talking about talk about it that you get it. You understand when all these people talk about how much energy it takes to produce, and it's like, yeah, that's what makes it valuable. But Bitcoin's so slow. Yeah, that's what makes it valuable.
You got it.
And
different system.
Bitcoin, you can track transactions all over, and it's like that's what makes it valuable. All of the things that people say that they're dislike about crypto, it's like that's why it's valuable, because you have to look at it from the other perspective.
And you're right. That's the perspective that I had to change my mind about recently because of your help, and I do appreciate that. So I've invested myself, people. Not much, because I don't make a lot, but it's like Max said, study it. Sure, it's a little bit of a gamble, but everything in life is. But is it safer in many respects? Sure. I can see the definite positives of it.
Gambling is leaving it with the banks, guys.
That's true. You're right about that, Max. No doubt.
Honestly, you're better off if you have money in a bank that's just sitting there. You're better off taking out the $100 bills and putting them under your couch. And that's just how it is. Because look, we don't know what kind of bailouts are going to be happening or if there is bailouts, but they're doing it. They've done it every other place. Back in the day, they confiscated people's gold. They confiscated silver. They confiscated all this stuff. Cryptocurrency, if you choose to, you can be your own bank, and they can never ever confiscate it. Just saying.
The beauty of it for me.
They may know you have money, but they can never extract it from you, and that's a huge boon,
isn't it?
And is this something? I mean, a lot of people are probably into flat Earth. Probably already have something like Dogecoin or something. Which is a meme coin. We don't give out financial advice, but it's like
no, not at all.
A lot of people that are in flat Earth probably know about crypto, but it deserves a mention because
even Visa has a card for it now. So
I've really only been actually quote unquote investing for about 4 months and doing fairly well, and the market has the beginning part of the year is the worst part of the year, and the market's not been great, but I'm still doing good.
Sure.
And continually, any free money that I have, I just cashed out my change jars today to go put money into Bitcoin and these other things, and looking at spinning wood and doing craft projects, whatever, to get and put more money into cryptocurrencies because and as opposed to going out and I don't even know what people can do. You can't even go to dinner and a movie anymore, really. But
no, you can't.
All that's money that you kind of be throwing out the window for whatever it is. It's way more beneficial to throw it into to crypto, especially if you do lottery stuff. If you do online gambling or poker or something.
No way.
I mean, the poker thing, I get that. But like, you take some to throw it into crypto. You'll do way better.
Yeah.
You'll really hit the jackpot on some of that stuff. Again, a lot of risk, so nothing that you can't afford to lose. How about that? That's the thing that went 300,000 miles an hour. That's on the screen. It's going to take a second for it to come up.
That's another big one that had me double thinking things.
Have you ever seen Arrested Development, the television show?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We're going through. I've never seen it before, and the wife and I are watching it. And they in the one of the more recent seasons, they have Ron Howard on there as like the film
Yep.
producer guy, and
Right.
Ron Howard has the lem in his office, and
Yep.
then you have to go talk privately. And Ron Howard's like, the guy's like, so this the real Lem, or is this like what? And Ron Howard's like, oh yeah, this is the real Lem you saw on television, but it's just a prop. They did it for real later, and it's like an exact replica of what this picture is, and it looks cheesy and everything, but it's like it's odd that television shows like that would say basically what is the truth, kind of. Of course, they never went back for real later, but
Well,
like,
there you
yeah,
go.
this is the one from Hollywood set, and I don't think they mentioned Kubrick, but yeah, you can tell just by looking at the photo that they have copper tinfoil, which is a real thing you can go to the hardware store and buy. Okay, copper tinfoil looks like cardboard, and it looks like curtain rods. And this went.
No possible way it could have done what they told us it did. There's no way.
I don't think that this could support the weight of 3 people inside of it. I mean, I kind of think that like this little astronaut here was something that's not even a man. I think that's like a miniature. This is an official NASA photo, so I would think this is a miniature
As
because
long
it
as
doesn't
it's
look
official.
right. It doesn't look right.
No numbers on the rocks.
And this is like
Navy
this is
flag.
like this is roofing material. This is tar paper.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I can readily identify what stuff is, right?
it's ridiculous. Yes, Sister Nick, absolute buffoonery, beyond sideshow. Absolutely
Yeah.
incredible, man. Incredible.
Here it is right here.
Oh, please,
This is
another
our
mountain.
gravity. This is our gravity one.
Oh, Blake, pear shaped.
Neil deGrasse Mustachio.
Please.
And we got the apple falls on the head and the microphone drops, but the 1,000,000-pound clouds of water, they can float just fine. I wonder how that happens. Here is our ice wall. I'd like to find more pictures of these. I can never really figure out where they're supposedly taking these pictures from. I don't know if I lost you or not. Looks like you muted yourself. Probably doing the throat thing. Your throat seems to be holding up pretty good.
Yeah, it's okay, man. It's okay.
So that's pretty neat with the old ice wall.
Real secret.
I
can't find much on it.
What I always kind of wonder is why is the water so clear in these areas? I mean, you'd think the whole thing would be total ice, but I don't know. I'm working out. I got to do really good on the pirate chain, and then I can buy my own boat and go out there. And I'll buy my own boat and go out to the ice wall.
Max, the moment you get a boat, give me a call.
Oh, yeah.
Drop what I'm doing, I'm there.
Well,
because that is my ultimate retirement dream, is doing the Sonny Crockett.
Well, you're pretty close to an ocean. We could pick you up and
man, just call me. I'm ready now, man.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't get, like, all the things you see on, of course, the television, right? All of that. They have, like, you have icebreakers that go through, but it looks to me to be pretty open water. If what this picture is actually at the Antarctic, which I suppose it would be, because when you look at on a globe, just down at the bottom of Brazil, you're almost to Antarctica.
True.
So is it like snowy in the south of Brazil or no? It's usually pretty warm in Brazil.
Sure.
So at what point do you have the super freezing cold at the bottom of the ball?
Those imaginary lines, man. I don't know. That's another interesting perspective as far as the icebreakers and then where they're supposedly at in this photo.
Yeah.
Why is the water the way it is? That's interesting. I don't
know. No icebergs or nothing, but you do see that there is people up here, and that is what do you figure, like almost 100 feet of ice?
Yes, compared to that ship and what those structures look like, easy, 80 to 100 foot, easy.
Yeah. So that's definitely not fake.
No, not at all.
But there's no like floating icebergs. You can't see where they like broke a channel out.
Right.
But then you can just go up where Brazil is and it's nice. So,
stop off in Australia and say hello on your way to Antarctica. We'll pick you up.
Australia, if you according to the ball, is a long ways away from Antarctica comparatively to South America.
I don't know. At what point would we have to flip the ship, though?
I don't know. Well, I got seatbelts. We'll have seatbelts on the R ship.
Oh, I see Nick ask you a question. Have you shown the Pluto on Pluto? Yeah,
I think it's somewhere in here, but we could I can alt tab that one.
Talk about making fun of us. It's just incredible.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know,
hey, it's
back in the beginning of the space agency and the moon landing and all of that, Walt Disney was in pretty much handled all the production for them.
Sure.
And so I guess that counts that they get to name stuff and they get royalties now on the planet Pluto. You can see that this is a NASA photo of Pluto, and you can see there's the outline of Pluto here. Except right here, this is what everybody screws up, is that they see this one has the ears up here, but no, the ear is right here. And I've never seen anyone actually do it right. The ear is right there.
Huh, never noticed that. That's interesting.
Yeah, because when you look at the cartoon picture of Pluto, his ears are always down. So that's his ear right there.
Okay.
Maybe it's actually right here. Yeah, his ears are always down.
Gotcha.
Oh, I guess this one they're up. But yeah, there's your Pluto the dog.
Mockery.
Well, that's not the only one. There's a couple of different things that have Walt Disney stuff in them.
Sure. And he was a Freemason as well, so I don't know exactly how that ties in, but it's whatever.
You don't just get to be like the richest empire on the planet for nothing. I mean,
that's the fact.
That whole idea is that you can do anything you want. It's like, yeah, if you become a Jesuit,
you got it.
You
got to sell out.
You can do anything you want if you become a Jesuit.
Sure.
The Jesuits are the only ones who get to play good guy and bad guy. Everybody else pretty much has to be the sellout to Satan bad guy to get what they want.
And all the kingdoms of the world can be yours too.
And God isn't going to necessarily give you what you want. He'll give you what you need.
That's it.
Sometimes throw you a bone here and there.
That's it, man.
But you make do with what you got. And like,
amen.
Some people like really care about stuff, like,
oh please.
Their boats and their Buicks and stuff. And it's like, why would you even be interested in that garbage? I mean, it'd be fun for like a week to have a Lamborghini. And then after you've raced around town, it's like, what am I going to do with this Lamborghini?
Yeah.
I don't want this.
That's why a lot of those people are just extremely miserable, strung out, or committing suicide. It's like, it's, that empty void, missing Christ in their life for the most part. And that's key. But all the riches in the world, that's not going to make you who you are. And it's certainly not going to bring you any happiness.
Kind of gives you a clue on these ultra rich pastors, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. More filthy lucre. You got to making merchandise of the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Prosperity pimps, man. Nothing but clowns.
The official NASA photo were like
multiple images.
Yeah.
Yeah, clouds. Yep.
Well, this one's they have like Africa is basically half the globe.
Yeah. I know.
The other one was America was half the globe.
Yeah, different sizes. They keep changing them up as far as the continents.
Greatest technological accomplishment of all time. Not a single photo of its construction. Yes.
Of course not. Done at Area 52 under complete secrecy. Are you kidding?
I like this one.
That's more like it. And look, all this has been proven to my satisfaction.
Yeah, I think it's been proven to just about everybody's satisfaction, except people that are too busy watching football to want to get into the conversation.
Sure.
Football is more important than the truth.
Oh, my Lord. Most people around me are they're hardcore, and it's a religion. Again, it's just that's all they talk about. And I don't like sports. I used to. I'm over it now. I'm just done with it.
One good thing I can say about sports is, it's not inherently negative, but at least nowadays, all the sports people want their paychecks in Bitcoin. So at least somebody, if somebody wisens up to that at some point, maybe that'll be a good thing.
Interesting.
Here's the one of the corpuscular rays, which is a big long word, which basically says that if your sun, like this picture right here, if your sun is 93 million miles away, why are the rays seem to be all focusing down to a point?
Right.
Like a lamp in the street.
Another key point.
Here's the lamp in the street. It gives you the exact same corpuscular rays as the sun from 93 million.
You're right.
Yeah, it's like, no, the sun is like right behind the clouds. Just like it looks like it is. That's exactly where it is.
Hey, and like you, I've seen a lot of the live footage.
Yeah.
You know, whether or not it was fake, that's
the sun disappearing?
No. To where it's actually in the clouds. You can see clouds behind it. You can see the movement. And it's aerial photography from private individuals. And it's like, wow. It just blows my mind.
Yeah, I haven't I looked for some of that stuff and I found, the weather balloon stuff with the sun right there and the moon right there.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen anything with clouds involved in it. It just, to me, I can look at that and go, well, that sun's definitely not 93 million miles away. You look at this hot spot like a flashlight. So you're telling me that the sun has picked me in particular to shine its light on. Right? And nobody over here gets the light, and nobody over on this side gets the light. Just me right here.
Yeah, focal points. Very isolated, local. No way. No way. Break through the facade. Yeah,
Earth curve has never been measured, right?
Clown.
I remember this. I watched his television speech. We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah.
And I think even at that point, I thought, yeah, is that just another sob, misdirection? Some of it, sure, just like anything, but the truth is buried somewhere in the middle, If it's being attacked.
Well, it's a two-sided thing because Flat Earth Society is a controlled opposition anyway, or controlled gateway.
Yeah. You got it. The actual president's an atheist, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he partakes in Muslim activity.
Okay.
You mean Joe Biden?
No,
I don't know.
Flat Earth Society, actual president.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but you're right. That's what I actually get out of that too.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a flat earther and an atheist, you're obviously a liar and a con man.
You'd have to be.
Right. What do you got? The aliens shoveled out the dirt to make it flat? Is that what you're gonna have? What else do you God didn't do this. This is a cosmic accident of perfect flat. I mean, don't even get me started.
No missing link. There's not even a chain, people. It's like Richard Dawkins was saying, a couple of years back, he basically made the statement, look, it's a dying religion, and it's I think Ben Stein interview with him. I can't think of the name of it.
Right. I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. They said, well, basically panspermia. So it's anything but God. It's whatever they throw in there. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. This guy is really neat. I don't know if you've seen him before. I just balance rocks and stuff. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. Magnets. Everybody, give him like 2 million views, 2 million subs on YouTube. I don't know. He's done it live, so he can balance stuff really good.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's cool. Interesting. How gravity works, right? Or buoyancy, rather.
Well, we're talking about whether or not the Earth moves. You think that if the Earth was spinning around, some of them rocks would fall over, right?
Well, again,
where is the Coriolis effect that's supposed to topple these rocks?
Thank you.
Why is does the Coriolis effect only affect sniper bullets? Is that the only thing it affects?
That's what we discussed on the last video. I've shot long-range weaponry all my life. I've never had to factor that in, never read about it, never even heard about it. It doesn't work that way. You adjust for angular, drop, that's it. It's windage, elevation. That's it.
And whether or not they're cheap Chinese bullets or not.
Yeah. Yeah, watch out for the Tula. That's the hot stuff, man.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Wreaks havoc on the weaponry. But yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, they all look like that. The guys that have the NASA channels, they all literally look like that.
Yeah.
They're all talking about rocket ships,
Look, we did it.
and their American flags and all
Yeah.
this stuff. They all look
God
like
and
that.
country. We fooled them all. High five.
Well, I mean, the guys who think it's real.
Well, sure, it's compartmentalized.
I mean, these guys here might even think it's real, but I mean, we're talking about like the YouTube channels that are like, as I don't think the young people even care anything at all about what NASA's doing or Elon Musk and SpaceX. They don't really care. It's when every time you look at like an enthusiast, it's usually in some other field that just vaguely goes back to science. The actual enthusiasts who can quote you the stats of every single SpaceX rocket and exactly the mission time and how much food they got and how many cans of hairspray they bring, they all look like this guy right here with this little American flag and, you know, mid 60s. There they are.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's their psyop. I guess, you know, we're saying like, you know, our trauma was the Challenger, right? And so now I guess our kids' trauma or the Gen Z's kids' trauma is going to be the whole C-19 pandemic and everyone locked down in school like a prison.
Yep.
Is that their trauma?
So far, that's what I see.
I think we had it better with the Challenger because I really didn't care about that. Maybe I'm just a sociopath though. I was like, oh,
no,
I guess they blew up.
I remember it. But look, again, I was 16, 17 when that took place. So what, 86?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it bothered me. But again, it's like you said, they had to roll out the televisions to indoctrinate everyone. You know, and it's years later you start looking into things again, and it's like, okay, wait a minute, let me question this narrative. What's the mind behind this? It's a beast system. Click your heels, people. Smoke and mirrors, everything.
Here's the one that relates to, I forgot about it, but, you know, they're flying helicopters on Mars, apparently. And it's like, okay, does anyone think that nobody thinks that's absurd, that they're controlling things that are 365 million miles away? This one must be the one that they launched in the 70s that they say is still alive.
That's it.
Right. And they're still talking to it, and it's 365 million miles away. What?
That's a heck of a delay in radio frequency.
Has no one ever gone out of range of a cell phone tower before?
Thank you.
Right? I mean,
there's limits to the travel of those frequencies.
And honestly, nobody ever should go out of range of a cell phone tower because there's satellites, right?
Is that right?
And apparently one satellite can talk at least 365 million miles. So I don't know why we even have towers. Why do we have cell phone towers?
Part of the illusion.
Makes you go,
There you go.
Hey, look, Mars versus Greenland. What do you think?
Little Photoshop going on. How convenient. Just like with the locations and Mars. I mean, it's all been proven to have taken place here in the desert. So I get it.
I like that their rover looks like Johnny 5. So I know that they're targeting the Gen X.
Right.
You know they're targeting Gen X. They're like, what was the most popular movie in the summer for like a 12-year-old when E.T. was out? Johnny 5. Okay, we'll make the head of the robot look like Johnny 5.
I loved it, man. Loved it. Yeah, Nick. Yeah, I may do a video on that as far as the bullet trajectories, Coriolis. Yeah, I appreciate that. And Auto Hoax brings up a good point too. That's interesting about acceleration, deceleration in the Olympics.
Yeah, I don't know how any of that works because I've been too much of a actual logic person that I can't even I can't.
You can't register buffoonery.
It's not that I can't wrap my mind around it. It's that I can't warp my mind that much to understand and conceive how they're. And people like explain these totally ridiculous ideas to you and like looking at you in the face like they're serious. And I'm like,
Well, when the general public's taught all that pseudoscience and they're indoctrinated,
it just shows.
It
shows that they have no idea what they're talking about, and all they do is somebody feeds them information, they spit it out on a test, and then they think that's knowledge. And it's like, have you guys? You know, I was actually taught logic in high school. I don't know why. They must have really messed up with my schooling. where you're
Well, I
taught
was
like
fortunate. Sure,
critical.
we had those classes, and that was in public school. But this was
Yeah.
again back in the '70s and the '80s. A lot has
Um,
changed. A lot has changed.
Mine probably would have been very early '90s, but yeah, critical thinking or something they called it.
Yeah, 101, critical
Yeah,
thinking. That's it,
I think
man.
that's what they called it, critical
Sure.
thinking
We
skills.
would have debates. Had several teachers.
Oh,
The
we
good
had
old,
like a mock trial thing.
sure,
That was
exactly.
the last time they ever did that because I've wrecked that show.
Oh,
I was like born to be a lawyer.
hey, amen, amen, man.
um,
I just don't
yeah,
feel.
here's my gyroscope thing that we're finally rolling around to as to what happened on an airplane. So if you cannot see outside of the window and you're flying by instrumentation, the instrument is called a gyroscope. And when you spin this gyroscope up like a top, right, it's going to be level and it's not going to topple. It's not going to wander. It's going to be flat. And pilots use that as a representation of the horizon they would see out the window. But if it's dark outside or it's stormy, you can just use the gyroscope and know that you're not gaining altitude or losing altitude because you're going flat and level.
Thank
If
you.
you're on a ball and you're trying to stay at 30,000 feet, you'd have to pitch the nose down
Yep, you
as
need
you go.
electronics to take over.
And by the time you get down here, your gyroscope is completely off.
You
You
got it.
cannot navigate. A gyroscope does not work on a globe
No,
at all.
that's
At
right,
all.
Max. That's right. It would
There is
fail.
no point in having it in a plane
Sure.
on a ball.
It's like having a compass with only two sides of magnetic, so it doesn't work.
Right. It does not work. And I don't understand how people just don't get this. Right. It's very simple.
Well, again, you got to
People don't
stop
have a
it.
top.
Well,
I
people
mean,
have to be willing to see things for what they are, man. You know,
gyroscope might be a complicated word. We'll just say top or dreidel if you happen to be Jewish. It's a dreidel, right? It's a dreidel in a cage. And you spin the dreidel goes burr. And as long as the dreidel is up to speed, it's gonna want to stay straight up and down and spin like that. And that's all a gyroscope does. That's all it does. And yeah.
Frank, get on here, man. You got a minute. Let's go, man. What are you afraid of your friendly Jesuit brother? Come on, man.
Yeah, we only got a couple of pages. We're only probably going to go for a little bit longer, Frank. Come hang out. This Frank's not a flat earther. He was on one of the ones one time though.
No, he's more of the trapezoid Earth, I think.
Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Hexagonal
That
Earth.
was the inverse tulip or something, or
What's that?
the inverse tulip
Yeah,
formation,
that's funny, man.
or the hanging crane, or something. I don't.
It's insane, you know. But like again, nothing surprises me at this point. It really doesn't, man.
Oh no, I mean, and it, people don't maybe pick up on this stuff because you're like on television and things. It's like a zombie machine. But
Isn't
if
it
you
though?
just if you happen to go somewhere where you have the zombie machine on and you just kind of like catch it, it's like you pick out this where they're making up total BS, and like it seems to be they're doing it as a joke to see what they're getting away with.
Sure.
Like how far can you push them? Like, and then we're gonna make them wear a second mask. And they're like, nah, they're never gonna go for two. I'm like, oh, you don't think they'll go for two? I'll bet you 500 million. I'll have them in goggles. And they're going, all right, man, deal. And then they go up and then they're pushing goggles and face masks, right? And it's like some of the stuff they come out with is all just it's bets between the guys as to what they can get the people to do. And it's hilarious. You walk across a zombie box and you're like, what's this? And you start chuckling and you look at somebody and their mouth is open and they're like, can you believe it? I'm like, no.
Yeah, man, I know it. It's frustrating sometimes. It really is, man. It's like we're the enlightened ones, so to speak. I mean, you're that with Christ anyway once you're born again. But again, how much truth can you be led to? That's up to you.
Yeah.
It's not an automatic thing. There's a lot of factors in between that in the individual. That's just the way it is, But wow, that's all I have to say about this world we're living in. Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible. Click your heels.
I do remember this from school too. Is I think they even had a little jingle song about it in one of those GI Joe the More You Know things,
That's it.
where
That's
the only
it.
thing that they have in Antarctica is penguins and polar bears or something,
The more
and
you're in.
everything else lives in the North Pole.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, how is that possible? You've
It's
only
not.
why are the penguins in Antarctica? I mean, uh,
Well, there's tropical islands somewhere buried. Admiral Byrd, much. I mean, who knows? Like you said,
yeah,
their own little palace somewhere.
old Admiral Birdie. Well, I bet they wish they never let that guy on television.
No kidding. No
Here's
kidding.
the Pluto thing from here. Yeah,
There you go.
there's Pluto. You can see the way his ear hangs here. It fits perfectly with the picture.
That's crazy.
But you watch Rob Skiba sometimes, huh? You know
Yeah,
who
used
the
to.
guy is.
Used
Yeah.
to.
Well, Rob Skiba, when he was doing his flat Earth stuff, he put up all of these things that they found all these new planets or all these new things. They found a new moon of Jupiter, right? And he put it up there and he showed it and it was just the bottom of his frying pan. Right? He took a picture of the bottom of his frying
Yes,
pan, but
yes.
it's round and it
Yeah.
has all the copper and the crackles and it looks like a planet. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly what this stuff is.
So easy to think.
Somebody dripped some paint somewhere, took a picture of it, and they said, there you go. It's a planet. And that's why there's only ever one. They come out with their main official one,
Right.
and there's never any more because then you have to fake it, and that costs
Yep.
money. We got to
Yep.
hire more contractors.
Sure.
I'm embezzling most of that $51 million. I don't know
Bingo.
what I got to pay a contractor now to come up with a new thing. No.
Thing.
Let Elon take care of that.
Like it actually costs hundreds of trillions of dollars to run this country, just this country alone every year. No, it doesn't. Black projects, please. Now that's something I think a lot about. Dad used to tell me a lot about that stuff.
It'll be real interesting when people want to use Bitcoin as their stable asset and tie their money to it. You can't create money out of thin air. Then it's going to be real interesting to see what exactly happens with that. Because it's like America's not going to go down the tubes, but the government might. I mean, we realize we're the New World Order system, but not everybody is in the New World Order. As you got like America and parts of Europe, only parts of Europe. And, China's only big on it as far as it gets them stuff, but I don't know how much they're big on it. I mean, they want to run the world.
Sure.
I don't know how much they want to play ball.
Not
and
fully assimilated.
You've got all these other places that are like, hell no.
Yeah, that's true.
And
that's true.
And if they don't want to be forced to use a dollar like America's, if it's crumbling and they can't enforce. I mean, how many people are going to use the dollar if we didn't have militaries in every country or a army base?
Zero.
Saying you're going to use our money.
What's up, Shep? Batman Max, what? What do you say? Oh, okay, Box. Yeah, that's a good point. How much of the real system that's around us is going to allow this, that, or the other,
well,
in order to, implement.
They have an alternative now is the thing.
Right. That's it. That's it right there. That's it. Because what's intrinsic, what's not.
Yeah, we'll have to see because, I mean, if we're looking at we're in the end times, it doesn't sound like, crypto is going to be the savior of anything, but maybe it pushes it back a while. I don't know.
That's what I see.
Because like I said before, I think it was with talking with you is that like, as far as like end times, it's like, yeah, we see this stuff happening, but for one world ruler, man, that's like 10, 20 years, maybe. I mean, something ginormous has to happen and you have to pull all the Christians out of here.
Right.
But the way that it is now, it's like, yeah, we're kind of baby steps. We're not even at one world currency. We're not at all these other points that we got to be. The Jews got to get work on their temple, all this stuff. And,
hence, that's why the jab is, again, not the mark of the beast.
Right.
That's that lady brought up today that I forgot to leave out, but she actually brought that up. And I'll just let her know, no, ma'am, it's not. Because A, B, and C has to take place before that happens. Come on, people.
No, it's kind of, it's a metaphorical picture of your abomination of desolation temple thing.
That's right.
Metaphorical thing, and it's true that it messes up your body, and your body's your temple.
That's right. That's right, Max.
And you can't ever take that back. And which is an interesting quote the JD Farag guy had, which I thought was kind of good, is that no, you're eternally safe, you're eternally secured, putting your trust in Jesus, but at the same token, you're eternally have the shot too. They can't take that out of your arm.
That's right.
And put it back in the bottle. So you got that to think about too. And that's always, just saying, a good way for anyone to fight this who's got like work pressuring them or these other things pressuring them. You just say, well, I'll do it for 250,000 and a liability agreement that says you're responsible for any and all damages, real or whatever, in perpetuity. And then I want you to remove it when my employment's finished. I want you to remove the shot from me, right? And they can't comply to that. I mean, you can be kind of as big of a jerk as you want to about it, but it's a liability issue when you're dealing with corporations. If they want to jab you with something, you can say no unless you're taking liability. And if they say, well, we're giving the shot, and it's like, are you a doctor? Number one. Number two, where's your insurance policy? And all this other stuff. And you do the legal thing when you're dealing with corporations.
You got it.
And you're always dealing with a corporation, even if it's your coworker or your boss or whoever, you're always dealing with the corporation.
Been there,
and
done
trust me, guys. And people will say, well, what if they agree to whatever I say? And it's like, they don't have the authority. And then they get in trouble because the only people in a corporation who have any authority over anything relating to the company is the board of directors. So until that stuff goes up to the board of directors and they whatever cockamamie scheme you come up with, nobody else can approve it.
Cockamamie.
So unless they're the owner if you work in a small enough company, you can have the actual owner of the company, and they're not going to want to do it either because it's all a liability thing.
Right. That's it, man.
And you take responsibility for any damages to me now or at any point in the future, and whatever you want to put in there. But if you actually make them sign something and make them personally liable, they'll never do it.
Big difference.
Even if they know there is zero chance that you could ever be hurt by anything, they still aren't going to sign it. And that's how a corporation will never admit blame. Ever. Sure.
That's why the systems. Yeah, you're right. That's a key point right there, man. Again, it goes back to we're giving away our liberties.
Right.
We're not taking anything.
Volunteer for the vaccine is what it is.
You got it, man. Scare. Just fear, 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 fear. That's what motivates. It shuts down the critical thinking. Everybody has to go with the flow, and it's you do your part. We're all in this together. So it's psychology. Mm-hmm. And, the elites run us by psychology. Hence, we're lemmings, we're the sheep, and that's what God says. So I get it. Click your heels, break through the matrix, and don't worry about it. It's like Max said in the last video. Make the best of it.
Right. I mean, people are here for a reason. And it's like, if you don't get bummed out, you shouldn't be getting bummed out about seeing prophecy being fulfilled. You have a gateway to the future now. Now you know what's going to happen. You know where to expect things. It's like, oh, they're rolling out this thing. Looks like they're going to try clamping down on a chicken farm or something over here or whatever. They want to have Bill Gates has his Franken meat where he creates it in a lab. And it's like, oh, that means I should go out and go buy some chickens and maybe make nice with a farmer. So I have a supply for meat.
Right.
And
I think Nick mentioned something about that a while ago.
Right. And like me,
that's true.
The commodities are going through the roof because of course, our political and our whatever environment, financial system. So commodities are going through the roof. And I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm going to buy a lathe because I can make something out of wood that falls out of the trees.
Practical. Sure.
And it's free because the cost of wood is 4 times what it should be. And it will continue to be 4 times more than it used to be. And so it's like, yeah, you see what's coming and you make the best for the future and your life is way better. Just say the more that you do positive things and think positive, just the better your life is going to be regardless of the circumstances. And there really isn't much of an obstacle you can't overcome. And it's like, yeah, some crap happens. You feel down for a little bit and then you're like, well, God will take care of me. Off we go. Well,
that's where your faith comes in, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
It takes a while to get there, but I guarantee you there's nothing negative about being productive, even if it's a hobby or something. Anything is better than watching television.
Amen.
Really, anything. Yeah. Broadcast television, do not watch the news. Do not watch broadcast television. Just don't. No, if you like a show, download the show off the internet, watch it on Vimeo or whatever it's on, don't watch the broadcast television. You never know what they're seeding into that transmission.
That's it, man. That's it. More control, fear and control,
So no one told the guy who made this lighthouse that the earth is a ball and no one would be able to see the lighthouse.
Yeah, that's another interesting aspect.
Well, obviously it's a ball, so this light only goes like 10 miles max, right?
Wrong.
Yeah.
How about that?
Huh. Those silly backward people. Those silly backward people thinking that the earth is flat. Building all these lighthouses, protecting shipping for the last 1,000 years. Huh.
Well, they have to have the gatekeepers, right?
Crazy.
Well, that's the word of the day. Conspiracy theories that actually came from the CIA. So some people get that, but it's the
flat earth thing goes straight back to Jesuits, straight back to Roman Catholicism.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's another key point that rose my eyebrow just a little. And I was like, okay, what's up with all this? Let me take a double look here. Let me just check it out. And again, Max, just like I said, I've known this for a while. I just kind of, pushed it to the side. I was like, it's not necessary.
Yeah.
I don't really need to understand this. And the more chatter and the more, things that would be brought to light for me, it was like, okay, that is interesting. Let me look at that again.
Yeah. I'm almost at the point where I get confrontational with people that are involved in BS though. And it's like, they probably don't even know it. To me, honestly, some of the worst people in the world have to be like pediatricians. It's like, man, you pretend to take care of children and then you shoot them up with all these vaccines. And then you have the gall to say that you're protecting the children's and you love children. You're going to tell me you love children doing that to them. And how could you, I'm not saying it's completely impossible that, these people don't understand the dangers of this stuff. But being pediatricians, who are you going to go to the second that your kid is messed up by these vaccines? Oh, to your pediatrician. Who's going to say, oh, everything is just fine. Oh, I guess he's got a little autism now. Oh, we didn't catch that last time. Good thing we catch it now.
It's going up 10,000%.
In my opinion, pediatricians are the most demonic people on the planet. Even if they're oblivious of what they're doing, right? Even if they think what they're doing is right, it's like, I cannot think of any particular, I don't care. Killer out there, hey, as long as you're killing, old people, fine, whatever.
Eugenics.
The people who get paid very well to destroy children's lives.
Yeah,
that really gets me.
Like family planning, really? Abortion clinics? What kind of family are you planning there?
Right.
It's insane. But again, it's a Luciferian beast system that we live in. So everything's upside down and topsy-turvy. Nobody can make sense of what's going on right now. But I don't fear it. That's the difference. I have no fear. I study, sure, but whatever. And I certainly do not fear man. Period. That's a joke to me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to live my life and, like you said, make the best of it. And that's it, because between me and you, I don't think I have that much longer. I've got some really bad news from the doctor lately, and it is what it is. But, if you smoke cigarettes for 38 years, you reap what you sow.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sure.
You kind of had that one coming.
Oh, yeah. I'm
probably dodged a couple there, huh?
Well, hey, you pay taxes to kill yourself. I've been buying cigarettes all that time, and I'm thinking, well, what kind of a positive?
You know what? You're the one financing NASA with all of your $7 a pack taxes.
No, I buy the cheap ones. I pay $3.50, $4 a pack. But I'm vaping. Been vaping for a while, but is it too late?
You're sending Elon to the moon $3.50 at a time.
No, $3.33 at a time.
$3.33. There we go.
But hey, man, like I say, nothing to worry about. It's in his hands. I don't trip on it.
Well, man, you only live forever. What are you going to say?
But that's it, man. I've been ready to go for a long time. A lot of people
it's like you only live once, and I'm like, well, maybe you do.
That's funny, but that's true. I use that quite a bit. Where are you going to spend eternity, people? That's what it
Oh.
comes down to. It's all that really matters. It's all that really matters. This whole system's designed to take the minds of people. That's it.
Well, it's amazing to me that I don't know what at one point the only thing I can come up with is television, but at one point people just got really dumb, and that's all there is to it.
That's true, man.
People just got really dumb.
That's a fact. Because I remember there was a lot of wise people when I was a child. The common quote sense was more prevalent, and you had a lot of wisdom in people when I was younger. There's no doubt. And television definitely played a big role in that. Food, aerosols, we can go on and on, but it's obviously planned.
Yeah.
They've
Well, I
let it
mean,
go
the food thing is just a trick. I mean, that's
Sure.
well, like all the crap in the food, it's like it's a lot of work to actually eat anything healthy. I mean,
Yeah.
like a lot of work. And the only way you eat, then the only way that you know that it's actually healthy is if you did grow it yourself.
Amen.
And then you have to go into, well, where am I getting my feed for my chickens? I mean, it's a never ending thing.
Thank
with
you,
that.
Nick. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's true, Max. That's true, man. Because 30, 40 years ago, it was cheap and readily available because it's natural.
Well, everybody had a garden back then and knew how to do something.
Well, there you go.
Everybody, at least from what I remember, everybody had hobbies. Like
Yeah.
my grandparents had hobbies. And I thought that was just the natural way that people are supposed to be. So I have hobbies. Most people, people I know have hobbies.
Absolutely.
And it's not just things that people are interested in, because then they just watch a television show about it, but people actually doing something, like my grandfather, he was only around, he died when I was like 6 or 8 or something like that. But
Gotcha.
it's like, okay, he had hobbies of collecting, like coins. He had butterfly things. He had a study where he had encyclopedias. He, he did his hobby of bicycle riding. He did some stuff with woodworking and things like that. And those are just right off the top of my head. If you ask me with like, boy, I don't know. It doesn't seem like I can place like what people are doing today as their stuff, as their hobbies,
So whether stuck to their phones or television.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Kind of like useless. Even learning about programs and how to use different apps and stuff is kind of useless information because in another year, it's, you got to learn a new app.
Obsolete, right. That's it. Right, man. It's perishable. So I don't know. I think it's just all part of the obvious plan, to dumb people down and keep them subservient.
Yeah. Well, people, who are we supposedly subservient to? I don't know.
Well, I mean, we get the bigger picture, but it's like
people are kind of afraid of the government, but really, I think people are volunteering for it. I think there's a lot of people that like it like that.
Sure they do. Like back to the mask wearing issue that you put out last year. I mean, you hit some key points. It's dead on because it's psychology, but I get it. Right. You have all the Karens that run around out there. It's no different than the SS. I won't say the other word, but compliance. Either out of fear or because you're somebody special and you're doing your part.
There you go. Virtue signal.
You got it.
I'm wearing my virtue signal on my face.
Oh, I work with those people, and they won't even speak to me. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't have time for games, and I'm definitely not going to play that game.
They're going to call you alt-right next, and then your life is over.
Oh, that's fine. I've been called and, accused of being everything, this, that, and the other. Doesn't matter. I know who I am. So, and people that really know me, whether they respect me, like me, I don't care. It's like they know where I stand. Yeah. That's all that matters to me. You live your life. You put your face diaper on and go get inoculated. That's fine. That's your business. Me, you don't know anybody that can make me do it. Period.
We prefer to call it gene therapy.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. I forgot the code word, Max.
Yeah. Well, gene therapy sounds nice, right?
Yeah, doesn't it? Though?
Well, they obviously they need some kind of therapy, right?
Oh, more ways than one, brother.
So we're about on the last photo here, and then we can kind of wrap it up. So the last photo here, this is a picture of Hubble here on the screen, and I'm wondering what do you think took the picture of the Hubble?
I think it's ridiculously moronic.
One of them spacesuit guys when his galoshes go out and take his iPhone and take a picture of this is like literally a coffee can, right? With a
Yes.
Pringles can stuffed inside
Yep.
it and some
Yep.
tinfoil.
Yeah.
I mean, you can readily identify that being a coffee can, and that would probably be a Pringles can, judging by the size.
Well, my hat's off to the prop department. It's just what they
No, they're terrible. I could make something better than that in my garage in like half an hour.
Exactly. It's hilarious. And look,
I don't know.
they can't turn that around and take pictures of Earth. I mean,
No.
really?
It's beyond the scope of their capability.
That's right. It's too close to Earth. I forgot.
Oh, now I'm reminded of the other thing that I wanted to mention since we're talking NASA, SpaceX stuff. We want to mention about when I was talking about Latter-day Saint on Modern Day Debate.
Okay.
They were talking about how the very first discussion they got into was how far away the moon is. And Latter-day Saint is like, so that it's 234,000 miles away. And the guy's like, well, yes, because we can reflect radio waves off of it. And it comes back in 2 seconds, and therefore we know the speed of light, and therefore it's 234,000. And he's like, so what does it take to do that? And he's like, well, you could build this. Anybody can do this. Anybody can make a radar thing in their backyard. So like what? Do I hook it up to a car battery? And the guy's like, well, it would take a few car batteries. So and he's like, okay, so you're saying I can take a few car batteries and bounce a signal off of the moon, but NASA says they lose communications with their shuttle when they go through the Van Allen belts, or with the satellites when they go through the Van Allen radiation belts. So why isn't NASA using the car batteries? Right? Because the Van Allen belts are between us and the moon.
You got it.
So NASA can't do anything through the Van Allen belts, and they can't fly through it, and they can't do anything, and that's why we can't go back to the moon. Apparently, when you don't know about the Van Allen belts, you can go right through them in 1969 in a meth tent, and you're fine. Right?
They lost the technology, right?
But they always say that you have a blackout for like 3 minutes when a satellite, it's a satellite because people can't go. You have a blackout where they lose communication because it's going through Van Allen belts. But then they're also saying, they even did this on Mythbusters, guys, that they're bouncing laser light off of the moon. And it's like, well, if the moon is 230,000 miles away, number one, radio waves don't go that far. Not without a battery the size of the Earth. So that's not happening, but let's just pretend it does. You got to go through the Van Allen radiation belts that NASA can't communicate through. And when it's it's like, then when it's on the other side, you can communicate again. It's like, so what happens there? The Van Allen belts, it's like an intermittent thing, or I don't know. The whole thing makes absolutely no sense, but yeah. They control this thing from the ground with a power station, hundreds of thousands of miles away. Sure. Whatever, dude. And
that comes amplitude and wattage. And with radio frequency, I know a good bit about that. And that's another key thing that made me change my mind on a lot of this. It's
right.
It's like the extraterrestrial crap. It's force for the trees, preconceived notions. Okay, what do you think you know? Okay, what is fact? What is truth about this particular subject? Be intellectually honest and rethink it.
I saw Richard Nixon talk to the moon people on a telephone in 1971.
Yeah, and I see David Blaine walk through.
Why? There's the best one. Why would they lie? Why would they lie? I mean, like, why would they tell the truth?
To promote certain theories, maybe? Sure.
Why would they lie? It's like, why did the bully beat you up in school?
Thank you.
I mean, come on.
Why ask why?
To steal your lunch money? Why do you think they lie? To steal your lunch money? And you're still falling for it.
Yep. You got it. You got it, man.
What I mean,
welcome to the grand facade, people.
The evidence that the whole thing is a complete and total fraud.
Sure.
At some point, people got to be just like, can we stop pretend we're doing this now?
Not going to happen until the Lord comes back. You know that. It's buffoonery, man. You know it. Don't be
I mean,
surprised.
I guess at least the pretend space thing isn't really hurting anything. It's messing up people's minds, but the whole medical aspect of this whole deal, that's
Different.
terrible.
That's criminal.
And that's like, you know, obviously nobody's been to space, so you can make up whatever kind of fantasy in your head about this stuff. But when there are things that are going on, like the issues with like pediatricians and the health of children and stuff like this, where like unvaccinated children have 0% chance of autism, zero,
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
And you've got like an 8% on the other side. It's
But
like really,
right.
and that these pediatricians notice a change in their patients that they track after they do these things that the computer screen tells them to do, and none of them go out and immediately become like anti whatever it is, a prescription or a shot or whatever they happen to be doing when they see the effects firsthand. None of these people like come out or quit their jobs or do anything or go into a different line of work.
True.
They just keep rolling with it. And well, I've got the $500,000 of medical bills. Oh, hi, Cindy. Oh, let me just give you a booster. Like, come on. That stuff is demonic.
I get it all the time, man. It's like, oh, you're anti-vax. No, I'm anti-buffoonery.
Yeah.
What is scientific, people? What do you're a parrot just repeating talking points. Mm-hmm. What do you actually know about the subject? Again, I don't have to be certified in this, that, or the other. God give me a mind. I don't use 12% of it. I use 100.
Right. And Otto Hoax has mentioned there is no autism with the Amish people. I bet there's a lot of things with the Amish people. Right. I don't think that they got the cooties either.
Nope.
I don't think that they'd even know what was going on until they trotted.
I mean, my God, I wished I could actually join them. Sometimes I actually think about it, man, because I want to get out of this clown show so bad. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and the thing is like, I want to leave the cities and stuff, but I don't think technology is inherently evil. And I don't think like guys like Brian Denlinger, who are out there where like, well, you're not really a truther or a homesteader guy unless you're doing it like me, without power and without this and without I'm the true enlightened one. And it's like, dude, you've got 3 houses. You've got your internet and your power at your other one when you're not
ministry and their ministry headquarters.
Exactly, that other people pay for. But like this whole idea that you can't have power and you can't have the modern technology or something, like it's evil. And it's like, no.
Yet he uses it to profit off people's backs. Okay.
Right. It's just, but the point is that technology isn't all bad. It's no one says like, there was that guy, the Unabomber guy, who thought everything was all satanic, and he went to go live in his shack out in the woods, and he knew what was going on. It's kind of why he was doing what he was doing, but he thought that the whole system was evil and didn't want to be a part of it. And it's like, well, look, there's useful things you can be using the technology for. Absolutely. Like, having a good YouTube channel, or actually screw YouTube, having a good Odyssey channel or something like that, and learning more about what's going on and witnessing to people. And, hey, with everybody locked in and not being able to go anywhere, I'm sure you met some great church groups, right? On the internet, right? Isn't that what people are supposed to be doing?
Supposed to be. Only if you're following Father Brian, but other than that, you're just lost and on your way to hell. So.
Well, you have to send checks. Otherwise you're just a freeloader, according to him.
Yeah. Well, I'm a lost guy. So did I get my money back? No.
He called his people freeloaders if they weren't sending money.
Yeah, I remember that. This is shameful. This is absolutely shameful.
Yeah.
I have this many followers and this is all I'm getting. I'm like, oh.
Yep. Really? I remember that. That was when he was all mad about. He was all mad about Gene Kim and all mad about Breaker. And I'm like, oh, I got to check out more Robert Breaker.
Exactly.
That Robert's getting 60,000 subs, and it's like, what nothing's changed. Robert's like to like 500,000.
The apostle of punkery.
Yeah.
What a clown. Absolute sideshow, man.
So that's what we have with the calendar. I don't know. You got anything else, man? Anything that's pressing? Otherwise, we can
carry it on
for another another time, usually around on Monday. So maybe we can do a regular thing with an actual focus topic. But
Let's do it.
yeah,
Action Jack Monday specials.
yeah, that works for me. And then we can actually have something of a time limit and try and keep it a little more focused. Like tonight, this is you'd recently come into the flat Earth deal, and we
Yeah,
both can talk
I'm
about
still
that.
spinning on that one.
It's a safe topic because anywhere you go with flat Earth, it's always flat Earth. You can talk about NASA, you can talk about SpaceX, you can talk about aliens, you can talk about science, you can talk anything, and it all has to come back to flat Earth. You can talk Bible. I mean, yeah.
Sure.
But it'd be nice to actually have a caption in search terms, but that's okay. No one subscribes to this channel anyway. It's all right.
Oh, please, man.
Well, I have 300 subs. Look at
That's
that.
I ain't even checked. Is that all you have?
Yeah.
That's
I
okay.
got immediately black boxed, and that's fine.
Well, I wonder why.
I had Dave Weiss on. Well, Dave Weiss came on the first or second video that I did, and I think they follow him around because he actually has a huge impact.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
And
shadow ban.
Yeah, and I don't care. I'm fine being on Odyssey.
Man.
The only thing that bothers me about being at 300 is I think you have to be at 1,000 for it to auto upload to Odyssey. And that's the only thing that ticks me off is that if I had 1,000 subs, it would automatically update and then I wouldn't have to manually do that.
Okay. I didn't know that. Yeah. Yep. Making it difficult for those who are seeking truth, let alone spreading some wisdom about God's creation,
Well, I'm surprised you can put anything up, honestly.
Well, it's coming. It's the great scrub.
I do want to mention this to people out there. It's not, think of all that YouTube is, it is Google, right? And we know that's a CIA run thing. They make no secret about it, being that the people who own Google are called the Alphabet Corporation.
Exactly.
Right? Yep. That's literally their name is the Alphabet Corporation.
Absolutely.
So we know who runs these people, and it's like one thing to like throw people off, content creators off because they don't like what they're talking about or something off YouTube. But that ID that we're using to post our videos is the same ID that we use for our emails. It's the same ID that we go in for Google, whatever, it's the same ID that we use for Google Authenticator for all these quote unquote increased privacy. And the Google ID is actually attached to a great many things. So right now, it's just preventing you from uploading videos or canceling your channel or whatever. But in the future, they could just turn the whole thing off. And there goes your email that you've had for 10 years. There goes whatever else you may have that's tied to a Google account. Okay. And that could come at the blink of an eye. So just letting people know out there that, YouTube may not get you because you don't have a channel and they may not cut you off, but maybe you made a comment on a thing that they didn't like. And you happen to be signed in under Google, and they go, "Oh, well, you're obviously an alt-right Hitlerio mustachio guy, so we're gonna have to get rid of your account." And who are you going to contact to get rid of your account? What are you going to email them with no email? So just letting people be aware that you gotta have some other plans and other ideas put in place. It's always kind of a good thing to do. Have your alternates, and before you get kicked off anything, you can send everything, set your email up to automatically copy everything over, and
welcome to the brave new world.
And join Odyssey, which is also known as Library, which is video hosting on the blockchain, which means they cannot be censored. Cannot. It can be taken off of Odyssey because it's a front end, but the actual video itself cannot ever be pulled from the net. Can always be found on Library. Odyssey does have live streaming as well, which I'll be checking out and trying to play with. But though that's where you want to go, because if you're looking for a video that's been scrubbed or pulled, or looking for a content creator that's no longer on YouTube, that's where people are going. I've tried BitChute; it's no good. It's not worth the time messing with. So head up there.
I gotcha.
You got anything else, man?
Just God bless everyone that tuned in tonight.
All right, that's what we got. Everyone take care. God bless. And we'll probably see you next Monday.
Sounds all right. Good. I enjoyed it. Thank you, man.